derby?
I'm going to pick up my sweetie, that's where.
What sweetie?
Miss Drysdale's pretty new maid, Linda Curry. She is crazy mad in love with me.
Ho, ho, ho.
Well, she is. And when we come back to Spark and Spoon in the parlor, I'd appreciate it if you and Arnie were missing.
You couldn't get her in the parlor with a team of mules.
Is that so? Well, it just so happens it was her idea.
To sit in the parlor with you?
That's right. She says that I have got something that none of her other fellas has got.
He's got color television. And I don't want to miss that game tonight. The Rams are playing the Packers.
But how can you stand Jethro for a whole evening?
I don't even know Jethro's in the same room. Billy Munson's starting at quarterback. Oh, is he dreamy?
Ah, you can keep those fancy Dan quarterbacks. Give me those linemen. Hey, how about me coming along?
I don't know. Jethro thinks this is a regular date. It might be... Wait a minute. Mr. Drysdale's going to be out tonight. Can't you watch it here?
Oh, I could if old tight fingers would break down and buy a new set.
What's the matter? Doesn't the old one work?
Yeah, it works all right, but let's face it. Football just isn't football on a 3-inch screen. Especially those round ones.
There's my date.
Listen now, maybe I could drop over a little later, huh?
Well, okay. The television's in what they call the parlor.
Who's this fella coming to court Ellie?
Well, Ellie ain't using the parlor tonight, Granny. It's Jethro.
Jethro?
Yeah, he's bringing his sweetie over.
Well, why don't they sit in her parlor?
Well, probably because she ain't got one. She's Miss Drysdale's new maid.
I'll take these back to the kitchen. When there's vittles around, Jethro will forget all about the girl.
Not this girl, Granny. I heard tell she's mighty pretty, and Jethro is head over heels, falling down, glassy-eyed, in love with her.
Heaven help us. When that boy's around a pretty girl, he plumb loses what little sense he's got.
Does seem to rattle him a mite.
Well, here we are.
Let's not waste time out here, Jethro. Lead me to that parlor.
Hot dog! Excuse us. We'd like to be alone. Forgot my girl.
See what I mean?
He just ain't to be believed. Easy now, easy.
Don't drag her.
It's all right. I'm in a bigger hurry than he is. Let's sit here, shall we?
Okay.
Oh, would you dim the lights first?
Yes, ma'am.
Then hurry, Jethro.
I will.
It's almost time for the game.
Well, what game is that? Post office or spin the bottle?
Rams and Packers.
Well, I don't know much about that one, but if it's got kissing in it, I'll learn it.
It's football, Jethro.
You want to play football?
Oh, no, I just want to watch.
Well, gee whiz, I'd rather we played something together.
The football game is on television. Now, we can sit here and watch it.
Watch television?
Yes.
Kid, that girl has been alone in the parlor with Jethro for pretty near an hour. Maybe I better go see if she needs some help.
Now, Granny, Jethro's a proper boy.
It ain't that. It's to help her stay awake. Being alone with Jethro is about as exciting as watching ice melt.
Well, now, maybe his getting smarter has caught up with his getting bigger.
Excuse me, could I please have a glass of water?
You bet. We got a pitcher right here in the icebox.
What's the matter, honey? Did you fall asleep?
Fall asleep? This is the most thrilling and exciting evening I've ever had.
It is?
Yes, and it's only half over.
Am I in time for the second half?
You sure are, Marie. Say, you don't mind if she joins us, do you?
Well, no, it's all right with Jethro.
Oh, he's being such a sweetheart. Come on, Marie.
I invited a couple of friends. Come on, girls.
There's gonna be 4 of you?
Oh, it's all right. There are 2 sofas. Come on.
Hey, Linda, would you look over here, please? I'm fixing to do myself in.
No, Jethro, don't do it.
Sorry, Ellie. It's too late to stop.
But you'll get all these tools and stuff rusty.
You women are all hear nothing about a fella having a busted heart. Hand me that paper over yonder. I'm gonna cut you out of my will.
What'd you lay me?
My four-bladed pocket knife.
Hey!
Hey, wait a minute. Come back here. Doggone women, anyhow. Hey, Linda, are you gonna watch me or ain't you?
I've been hollering, boy. Granny wants you to come in and eat now. What in the blue blazes?
Done at my last meal, Uncle Jed. I'm just getting ready to push all this stuff into the cement pond.
What for?
I aim to break Linda's heart like she broke mine.
This stuff belong to her?
No, sir, it belongs to you and Granny.
Well, then I don't believe I'd be shoving it in the pond.
You don't understand. I'm going to that big courting parlor in the sky.
You get this stuff rusty, and you're going to that little woodshed out back. Besides, with these ropes tied on, you're going to get pulled in yourself.
That's the whole idea. I got nothing to live for.
You had 4 women fighting to get in the parlor with you last night, and you got nothing to live for?
All they wanted to do was watch the football game on television.
Linda, too?
She was the worst of all. She acted like I wasn't even there. She'll change her tune when I drown myself. Boy, I can hardly wait. She'll come tearing through that hedge, wailing and bellowing, throw herself on my lifeless body, smother me with kisses, beg me to love her. Boy, am I going to enjoy that. Here I go, Linda!
That's wrong.
Yeah, Uncle Jed, what?
Are you going to enjoy anything when you're drowned?
Pretty near made a mistake, didn't I? Doggone it, Uncle Jed, what am I going to do? I'm crazy mad in love with Linda, and all she cares about is football players.
Well, then be one. I'll tell you what, Jethro. You get the uniforms, and I'll call Mr. Drysdale. Between him and Miss Jane, they know just about everything.
You reckon that'll get Linda to like me?
Well, I'd say it's got a better chance than sitting on the bottom of the pond hitched up to a half a ton of scrap iron.
What do you suppose brought about the Clampetts' sudden interest in football?
Who cares? It's a wonderful game, and something they can't get back in the hills. Now, we've got to turn them into real fans.
These are excellent books on the subject.
Forget it. They've got to have someone who's played the game that's playing football.
I didn't realize. Where did you play?
Michigan, Minnesota.
Right.
Yep. There was a vacant lot in the corner of Michigan and Minnesota.
Well, howdy there. Come in, come in.
Nice to see you.
Mighty nice of you to come over.
Oh, our pleasure. You know, I'm delighted to hear that you're interested in football.
Yes, it's a wonderful sport.
Well, Jethro's the one that's all stoked up over it, but the rest of us would be obliged if you'd learn us too.
Oh, no trick at all.
Granny's out in the kitchen.
Now, let's get out there with the old pigskin.
Mr. Drysdale, I wouldn't call her that to her face.
Yeah?
Greetings, Granny, Ellie Mae.
Mr. Drysdale's going to learn us how to play football.
You play, Mr. Drysdale?
Well, not anymore, but at one time I was known as the Iron Man of Michigan.
And Minnesota.
Now, suppose Miss Hathaway is the quarterback. Now, I am the running halfback. Now, slap the old pigskin right in the breadbasket.
That was Danny. What do you do now? Pick up the ball?
Your sacroiliac again?
Yes. Get me home quick before Granny tries to doctor me.
Hurt your back, Mr. Drysdale?
No, I walk this way to keep the rain out of my face.
Mr. Drysdale.
What?
Do you like ice hockey?
I love it, but I don't feel like playing right now.
But, sir,
What?
there's a marvelous hockey game on television tonight. Color television.
So?
So I thought maybe you'd like to have a color set. They're dirt cheap right now.
They make them in a 3-inch screen?
No, but you can get a 21-inch for $400.
400! Oh! that fixed my back. Saved me a doctor bill.
How about that color set?
Do you really want one?
Yes.
Okay. You go right ahead and order one.
Oh, Mr. Drysdale, I don't know how I'll ever repay you.
$10 a week.
27, 63, 49, 27, 23, 38,
Jethro.
39,
Boy.
42.
Jethro!
Yeah, Jed, what?
You have to do all that ciphering?
I ain't ciphering. I'm calling signals. When I'm done, you hand me the ball.
Here, you're done.
You don't hand it to me like that. You pass it to me twixt your legs, like I showed you.
Oh, I believe I'll skip that. This get-up is kind of binding on me as it is. Every time I lean over, my hat falls off.
Not your hat, Uncle Jed. It's your helmet. Now, come on, let's try it again.
Well, here comes the rest of the team. Let's wait for them.
Linda's probably watching.
If I let go of these pants, the whole neighborhood will be watching.
Speaking of Linda, yonder she comes through the hedge.
Hot dog. Now I can show her some fancy running and catching. Uncle Jed, you send her the ball to Granny. Granny, you give it to Ellie. Ellie, you throw it to me when I get down there near Linda.
37, 52. Here, Granny.
23, skidoo. Take it, Ellie.
Hey, Linda, watch you catch the ball. Fling it, Ellie!
Watch out, boy. You're headed for the wall.
Jethro, are you all right?
Huh? Well, yeah, I think so.
Jethro, can I come over and see you tonight?
Oh, you ain't gonna watch football on television, are you?
No. No, word of honor.
Okay, then you can come.
Oh, thank you.
By golly, the boy was right. These football uniforms sure get the women.
Wait, Jed. Why don't you take a little walk around the neighborhood in yourn? Well, I'll be making fudge and popcorn anyway. Jed, do you know that Jethro went to pick up that girl wearing his full football get-up?
Yeah, I spoke to him about that, but it seems that the girl is uncommon fond of it, so he ain't taking no chances.
What's he gonna do, wear it till he gets married?
Of course not. After tonight, the girl gets to know Jethro, learns all his qualities, find out what he's really like. He might have to keep it on a spell at that.
Well, here we are again.
Yes.
Like me in my uniform, huh?
Oh, yes, Jethro. You're really something.
Thank you. Before we go in the house, want to take a stroll out there on the front lawn?
What have you got in mind?
Well, the moon is nice and bright. You can throw me some passes.
Oh, well, that's real tempting, Jethro, but let's go right into the parlor.
Well, I can't show you much fancy football catching in there.
Jethro, like I told you before, I'm not interested in football tonight.
Awful sorry. But this won't need this anyhow.
No, not tonight.
Forgot your girl again, Jethro?
No, sir, Uncle Jed. I'm going to show Linda my fancy footwork. Hey, Linda, watch this. 26, 18, 32, ha!
Jed, I don't care what Miss Drysdale says. He's got to start courting that girl over to her house.
He is acting like he's a few pickles shy of a barrel.
You reckon that football hat could be pressing on his brain?
I don't hardly see how.
Even that city girl's gonna drop him if he don't get them squirrels out of his attic.
Couldn't stop and went through the window. But I didn't hurt myself, though.
Isn't he marvelous? Come on, Jethro, let's get into that parlor.
Want to come in the kitchen and have some coffee?
No, Granny, I'd best fix that front window.
You can't see to put that glass in there tonight.
I don't aim to. Till Jethro falls out of love, I'm just going to cover it with wax paper.
in.
Yes, I am. I'd appreciate it if you go over next door and make sure Linda's watching.
Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. I didn't leave that stuff to you.
Then I ain't telling Linda to walk.
Again with this nonsense?
It ain't nonsense, Uncle Jed. I aim to end it all. Hey, Linda, will you look over here?
I thought the girl loved you.
Well, that's what I thought, till last night. Turns out she loves hockey players.
What in tarnation is a hockey player?
It's a fellow that goes slipping and sliding on the ice, trying to hit a little old round piece of rubber into a net with a curved stick.
And Linda likes that?
Just crazy about it.
Boy, have you given any serious thought to finding yourself a new girl?
No, sir, Uncle Jed. Linda's the only girl I could ever love.
A Jethro.
And if I can't have her, ain't nobody gonna get her.
Jethro.
Yes, sir, Uncle Jed, what?
How is drowning yourself gonna keep somebody else from getting there?
Here, made another mistake, didn't I?
I'm real close.
Doggone it, what am I gonna do?
You sure you don't want to try for another girl?
No, sir. I don't love often, but I love deep.
Well, if you're bound and determined it's got to be Linda, and she's partial to hockey players, I reckon you just about got to start hockeying.
What do you suppose switched the Clampetts from football to ice hockey?
Perhaps it was your demonstration of football.
You know, this puck would just about fit in your mouth.
Oh, howdy, folks. Come in, come in. I hate to keep bothering you this way.
Oh, not at all.
Hockey's a fine sport. You'll like it.
Well, it's for Jethro again. He's got himself a uniform. Now he needs to learn the game.
Forget it, Uncle Jed.
What do you mean, forget it? You want the girl to love you, don't you?
Well, if I have to wear this, but she could hug and kiss me like crazy, and I'd never even know it. Getting sparked in these kind of clothes.
But what girl is Jethro referring to?
Oh, a pretty little thing named Linda, Miss Drysdale's new maid.
What's that about my new maid?
Jethro is enamored of her.
Oh, no, ma'am. He likes her a heap. It's her that don't care shucks about him.
Really? Well, I have a feeling that's going to change.
And then he said if I'd be nice to Jethro, he'd get a 25-inch color set and throw that antique with a 3-inch screen away.
Thank goodness. These things are killing me.
That I haven't agreed to do it yet.
You haven't?
Nope. Told him I wanted to think it over.
Here, put these on while you're thinking.
I'll do it, I'll do it.
Here, Uncle Jed.
What's that?
This here's a combination suicide note, last will and testament, and shopping list.
What?
Granny wanted me to go to the market, but I got to do myself in while it's still light enough for Linda to see me.
Come back here.
It's no use, Uncle Jed. There's just no pleasing that girl. One night it's a football player, the next night it's a hockey player. Tonight, who knows?
Now, wait a minute. Must have been something she liked about both of them. Think for a minute. Wasn't there anything they done alike?
Yeah. They both done what you call commercials.
Long shot with a limb in the way, but it beats breathing pond water.
You sit down right here. I'm gonna dim the lights.
Are we going to watch television?
No, ma'am.
Well, what have you got in mind?
You'll see. Are you ready?
I think so.
Well, watch this. How do you like that?
Oh, Jethro, I adore you.
Jed, What's he doing?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you. But it's working.
There.
It was wonderful.
I'll do it again.
Granny, how many times have I told you it's against the law to cook moonshine in Beverly Hills?
I ain't cooking moonshine.
Just calling it rheumatism medicine don't make it legal.
It ain't rheumatism medicine neither.
What is it?
I'm brewing up a love conjurer.
Love conjure?
My great-great-granny left me the secret. But it's only to be used when a woman is too old to get a man any other way.
Oh, now, Granny, you're still a fine figure of a woman.
It ain't for me. It's for Ellie Mae. He doesn't wait any longer to get that girl a husband. Cousin Pearl says that folks back home are beginning to talk, asking about your spinster daughter.
Well, that's back in the hills. Out here, girls seem to reach their prime might later.
Now, Jed, let's not fool ourselves with city talk. You know and I know that prime is 14. Anything over that, and you're sliding downhill.
Morning, Granny. Want to come for a swim?
Not me, honey. I got a cooking to do.
What's cooking?
I'm steaming some grits.
What's all that for?
Gravy. Now, come on, get going. Hurry up.
What you sniffling about?
Is there any sadder sight than an old maid?
Granny, just for what it's worth, I had another talk with Mr. Drysdale about Ellie meeting a feller.
Well, I'll tell you what it's worth. Nothing.
But this time he promised.
He's been promising ever since we come to Beverly Hills. Well, I'm done waiting on Mr. Do-Nothing Drysdale. He can't even get his own secretary a husband.
Well, let's talk about Ellie Mae.
Too late for that. We've done talked away her golden years. There's only one way to get the poor old thing a husband now. And here it comes, Jed. Stand back, Jed. Perfect bat.
Chief, there's a young man in my office who says he's from the Beverly Escort Service.
Oh, yes. Ellie Mae's date. Bring him in.
Chief, you have hired a professional escort? A gigolo?
Oh, don't look so shocked. It's only a temporary arrangement to get Jed Clampett off my back.
But a gigolo?
Stop calling him that. He is a professional companion, a bonded employee of a reputable firm, which means he won't be after the Clampetts' money.
But, Chief...
Bring him in. Thank you. I'm Melvin Drysdale.
Mr. Drysdale.
This is Miss Hathaway. I presume you know why you're here.
Yes, indeed, and the pleasure's all mine. She's a very attractive young lady. Well, I'm terribly sorry.
And well you might be.
Just a moment, Miss Hathaway. I need you to witness this agreement with Mr. Peters.
Must I?
You must. As you know, this agreement calls for your exclusive services as an escort to Ellie Mae Clampett. You are to fill her days with fun and her evenings with excitement. Are you a good dancer?
Well, I'm told I am, yes.
Well, suppose we let Miss Hathaway judge.
Must I?
You must.
I'm sorry, I can't dance this way.
Must I?
You must.
You know, you're a marvelous dancer.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's enough. All right, break it up, break it up.
Oh, Chief, I would say his dancing is quite adequate.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I assume you know how to play tennis and golf and ride horseback and all that?
Yes, I do.
Perhaps I should take the rest of the day off and then to check him out on these...
Now then, you'll proceed to the Clampett home, where you will put Plan A into operation.
Plan A?
Yes, a course of action so brilliantly conceived, so carefully thought out, so absolutely foolproof that the Clampetts will never suspect that you're a paid escort.
It sounds great. I'd like to hear about it.
And you will, as soon as Miss Hathaway comes up with it. Don't worry. If anything happens to your Plan A, I'll be ready with my Plan B.
What's that?
You're both fired.
This is a fine mess of all the outrageous...
Calmly. Adversity bars its sharpest sting from our impatience.
You're quoting Bishop Horn.
Mm-hmm. He's the subject of my dissertation.
You're studying for a doctorate?
Literature, UCLA.
But this odious occupation.
Well, it pays good. The hours are my own. And I meet the most fascinating people. And I am part of all I have met.
Tennyson.
Would you care to discuss Plan A over a cup of coffee?
Discourse, the sweeter banquet of the mind.
Homer?
I'll need about 5 minutes with Mr. Drysdale. You want to come up and visit with Miss Jane?
No thanks, Uncle Jed. She always looks at me so funny. Kind of like a...
Hungry hound looking in a butcher's window?
Yes, sir, that's it. Why do you reckon she does it?
Probably admires your brain.
Yeah.
Drive around and pick me up.
Yes, sir.
I just got to have a talk with that boy.
You know, a wonderful little spot next door where we can be quite alone.
Solitude cherishes great virtues and destroys little ones.
D?
Hi, doggy. Granny don't have to conjure no fella for her.
Yes?
Hello, Chief. Jane here.
Jane, where? Where are you?
In the coffee shop next door. I'm afraid we still haven't come up with Plan A.
Well, you come up with Plan A, or I'm coming down with Plan B.
Chief, we need time to invent a convincing story. Dean... Mr. Peters can't just appear at the Clampetts out of thin air.
Now, listen. I'm paying both of you gold bricks by the hour. Now, you get back up here before... I'm busy.
Sorry I bothered you.
Mr. Clampett, wait! I didn't know it was you.
Well, I sat out here for a spell, but your door was closed and I...
Well, it's open now. Come in.
But if you're busy...
Not at all.
Me and Mr. Drysdale, you're ripping my good coat.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, here, take mine.
Oh, I just want to talk to you for a minute about getting a fella for Ellie Mae.
Oh, yes. Well, I've been working on that. In fact, I've got something cooking.
Well, so is Granny, but I'm afraid what she's got cooking is liable to blow her and the windows plumb out of the kitchen. Well, she is brewing up what you call a love conjure.
A love conjure?
Yeah, I don't hold much store with it myself, but Granny thinks that she can conjure up a fella right out of thin air.
Now, wait a minute. Maybe she can.
You believe in such thing?
Well, not as a rule. But there's a certain magic in the air today. Now, you go back home and... No, wait, not yet. Hide in the closet.
What? Those are orders.
But I want to go in the closet. What?
Powers not to reason why.
I'm sorry, Mr. Clampett. I was looking for a needle and thread to fix your coat.
Well, never mind about that, but I'd appreciate it if you keep looking for a fella.
I have a feeling that Granny's conjure is going to get action this time.
Oh, it's got action before. I remember one time back home, it brought every fella within 5 miles of running.
Really?
Yep, she set the cabin on fire. Mr. Drysdale, that ain't very funny.
Of course not. I'm very sorry. But Ellie Mae will get a fellow. I guarantee it in writing. Thank you. Bye.
Get it to roaring real good, Jethro. When I throw my love conjure on it, I want that smoke to blow all over town.
Ain't that kind of risky, Granny? Ain't no telling who that smoke will blow on.
That's the chance we gotta take, Jed. You let your daughter get too old for picking and choosing. Her best years is behind her.
Them's her best years. I'd hate to think what's coming up.
Hush up and go split some wood.
Hey, don't split a half a cord.
Then go split the other half.
Uncle Jed.
Do what your granny says, boy.
Yes, sir.
Maybe things is picking up out here in Beverly Hills. Miss Jane got herself a fella.
I ain't conjuring for Miss Jane. I'm conjuring for my old maid granddaughter. I aim to see her married before she's all wasted away.
Ellie could waste away a good bit and still be ahead of Miss Jane.
Kid, I've been working 3 days on this conjure, and I aim to throw it in that fire. Now get dressed in your company clothes while I say my spell.
I think I'll wheel you down. I might have to do some firefighting.
Magic powder, magic brew, in the fire and up the flue. Fetch a man and fetch a minister, so poor old Ellie won't be a spinster.
Spinster?
I'm a scientist, not a poet. That always takes a lot out of me.
This and $50 million. You have to hire an escort. A Lola Bridget, I can't expect.
Howdy, young fella.
How do you do, madam? I was drawn to this house by a strange force I couldn't resist.
You don't say. Come in, come in.
You wouldn't by any chance be Ellie Mae?
No, no, no. I'm her granny.
Nice. Very nice.
Ain't science wonderful?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, nothing. Now, before I let you meet my granddaughter, I gotta know all about you.
Well, my name is Dean Peters.
That's enough. Ellie Mae! There's a fella down here to meet you. Leave your dolls and come on down.
Did you say dolls?
Yes, she's a sweet young thing. Right in her prime.
How old is she?
Take a guess.
12, 13, 14?
That's close enough. Your doll and your lollipop, honey. You're old enough for fellas now. This is Dean Peters. He's come to keep company with you.
How do you do, Ellie?
Howdy. Curtsy like I told you. She's sweet. You two go on in the parlor, and I'll fetch some lemonade. Skip, honey.
Granny, I feel like a darn fool.
I got you a fella, didn't I?
Yes, sir.
You got to keep him thinking you're marrying age. Now, Skip. Right in her prime. Now, go get acquainted. Till you see the fella I conjured for Ellie.
You mean at work?
Of course. Look in the parlor.
Who's that little girl?
That's your daughter.
Uh-oh. I was afraid of blowing that smoke all over town.
What you mean?
You done conjured up Miss Jean's fella.
No.
Chief, Mr. Peters is calling from the Clampett house. He seems quite distressed.
If anything's gone wrong, you're going up there and sign a written confession.
I have nothing to confess.
I'll write it, you sign it.
Mr. Drysdale, you don't need an escort for Ellie Mae. You need a babysitter. All she wants to do is toast marshmallows and skip rope.
I don't care if she wants to play jacks. Oh, really? Who won? Now, you listen to me, young fella. I'm paying you to entertain that girl, and that's what you're going to do if you have to play hide and seek. Oh, really? Well, hang up before she finds you.
Granny? You ain't brewing up another batch of that love conjure, are you?
Of course not. I'm working again time to come up with an anecdote. I don't want to steal Miss Jane's fella any more than you do.
Well, couldn't you use some of your letting-go powder on him?
I can try, but it would be like hunting bear with a fly swatter. That's the most powerful conjure I ever...
Come on, Dane. We can have more fun out back. Face some critters out there.
Just a minute, young feller.
Yes, Mr. Clampett?
What do you think of my daughter?
Ellie? Oh, she's a wonderful girl. Lots of fun, million laughs.
Not too young, huh?
No, sir. She's right in her prime.
You like her better than Miss Jane?
Who's Miss Jane?
Powder, powder, white as snow, make the conjure spell let go.
What game is that?
That ain't no game.
How you feel about my daughter now?
Well, I told you. She's a wonderful girl. Lots of fun. We're gonna play hopscotch now.
Granny, you're right. Like hunting bear with a fly swatter.
Our only hope is brewing in that pot. That is the strongest conjure buster I ever... I'm sorry, Jed. I've reached the outer limits of scientific knowledge.
Granny, I reckon there's some things us humans just ain't meant to know.
It's just as well. It could have had some terrible side effects.
Well, there's only one thing we can do now, and that is find Miss Jane another fella.
Yeah, but where?
Well, got all the wood split.
Jethro!
Howdy, sweetheart. I love you.
What?
Prettier than these flowers and sweeter than this candy. You are my sunshine, my sunshine.
Jethro, what's going on?
I'm courting you. I can't eat or sleep without you.
Oh, no.
That's the truth. Granny won't feed me or make my bed. Sunshine, only sunshine.
What's going on out here?
Jethro's courting me.
What?
I gotta make her forget about losing her fella. You are my sunshine.
What fella?
The one Granny conjured away for Ellie. Except Ellie don't care nothing for him. But he's crazy mad for her because she looks 14. And Granny couldn't bust the conjure, so Uncle Jed says I got to court Miss Jane. You are my sunshine!
Jethro, that's enough.
That's all I know anyway. Only learned how to play about a half hour ago.
Chief, I suggest that I return to the Clampett menage with this young swain and determine the situation firsthand. Hey!
Oh, Miss Jane, did Jethro heal your broke heart?
Well, I done my best, Granny.
Well, don't worry. I'm going to fix everything. Come upstairs and take your clothes off.
All of them?
Not you. Get to the kitchen.
Where's Mr. Peters?
He's in the parlor, dead to the world. Ellie beat him 40 straight games of hopscotch.
Hopscotch?
Go upstairs. Ellie will show you what to do.
Mr. Drysdale, I can't take any more. I got to get out of here. All right, you don't have to pay me. I'll pay you.
Mr. Peters. Oh, so you woke up, did you?
Yes, ma'am. No more hopscotch, please.
Oh, no. Nothing like that. Son, brace yourself for a shock.
Another one?
This is gonna hurt, but then will come something good to make you forget. Come in, Ellie.
That's Ellie?
Yeah. We deceived you. She ain't 14.
Say she ain't.
I don't blame you for being upset. No man wants a woman that far over the hill. But now comes the good part. You wait here. Miss Jane!
I can't possibly.
Yes, you can. All fair in love and war.
I know this will seem ridiculous to you,
Please.
but...
This is the sanest thing that's happened to me all day. Let's get out of here.
Bye, Granny. Thank you.
Well, looks like that done the trick, Granny.
Sure, I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, but now you ain't got no fella.
Say, that's right. Well, back to the laboratory. I declare, Ellie, that's the purtiest bunch of feed sacks Pearl ever sent us.
Sure is, Granny.
They ain't a family in Beverly Hills gonna have fancier underwear than us. The main thing about feed sacks is knowing how long to boil them. You gotta boil out the printing, but not the color. I'd say these are done to a turn.
Hot dog, how soon can I eat?
They ain't for eating, they for wearing. Now, Ellie, you dip them out and wring them. Jethro, you come outside and pick out your pattern.
Oh, pattern for what?
New drawers.
Ellie Mae, where's Granny?
Oh, she's out back hanging up clothes, pal.
My doggers, I'm pleased to see you taking an interest in kitchen work.
Well, thank you, pal. Excuse me.
Good thing that girl is pretty. Her cooking is pitiful.
Ellie, I kind of favored these barley sacks for you and me. It's a purty piece, and the goods has a real expensive feel to it.
Granny, there's some new neighbors moving in on the first side. Let's all go over there and tell them howdy and make them feel welcome.
You and me can help them unload and settle in.
Yeah, and take us some hot bills.
Well, no, let's just get acquainted first. See what they need.
Well, come on, Granny.
I ain't wasting no more of my time trying to be friendly to those snooty Beverly Hills people.
Well, Granny, we ain't met them yet. We don't know that they snooty.
They's rich, ain't they?
Appear to be.
Well, then they snooty.
Well, Uncle Jed's rich, and he ain't snooty.
You pick out a pattern.
Granny, I don't hardly think that it's right for us to judge a woman without...
A woman? Is that who's moving in?
Well, I've seen one come out of the house and get into a big limousine.
Take me around back, you jerk. I can't knock on the front door of a mansion like this and ask to use the phone.
I am not employed to drive servants to servants' entrances.
Oh, come on, Reg, and knock off the protocol. My feet are killing me, and I've only got one day to fix the house for Mrs. Carrington.
You're the housekeeper. That's your problem.
Okay, you cab stand reject. You've been asking for this. Climb out and get him up.
Save your threats, Agnes. I do not scare easily.
Listen, Reg. How'd you like to take me for a drive tonight? We can park on Mulholland and,
Okay, get in. I don't scare easily, but that did it.
Big limousine just pulled around the house. Must be that new neighbor woman.
Yeah, that's her, all right. She's headed for the back door.
Good. Ellie, you go get Duke. We'll give her a big Beverly Hills welcome.
Beverly Hills welcome?
I'll slam the door in her face and Ellie'll sick the dog on her.
Howdy, ma'am.
How do you do? I'm sorry to bother you. I'm opening the house next door and the phone isn't connected yet. Could I use yours, please?
Why, you betcha. Yonder it is. Help yourself.
Thank you so much.
Jed, did I hear her say please?
Please and thank you. By the way, ma'am, we is the Clampetts. This here is Granny, and I'm Jed.
Well, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance. Just call me Aggie. I've got to phone the market. There isn't a bite of food in the house.
Oh, we'd be pleased to share victuals with you.
Share what?
Victuals, food. We'd be glad to fetch something over to you. I know that it's a chore to cook on moving day.
Oh, well, that's awfully nice of you, but I love to cook, as you can see. Believe me, after cleaning a big house all day, cooking is fun.
You clean the house?
Morning till night. But a little honest work never hurt anybody. Market, I'd like you to send over an order and charge it to Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III. Like 2 loaves of white bread.
Ready? I think you gotta admit that Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III ain't your average run-of-the-mill, everyday rich Beverly Hills society woman.
Yeah, a grand name like that. And she says, just call me Aggie.
Morning, Jethro.
Greetings, dear boy.
Howdy.
Oh, why so glum?
I was hoping the new neighbor'd have a pretty maid, but I didn't see one.
Jethro, did I hear you say something about a new neighbor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Drysdale. She's just settling in. The moving man told me her name was Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III.
Carrington. Carrington. See, that name rings a bell.
Jethro, if you are lonesome for feminine companionship, come to my place this evening.
Do you have a pretty maid?
I got it. Carrington. Mrs. Philip B., widow, financial rating AAA, between 23 and 24.
So young.
What young? That's how many millions she's got.
Well, how old a woman is she?
Who cares? With that kind of money, she's in the prime of her life.
Oh, hi, folks.
Hello, Mr. Clampett.
Excuse me a minute. I want to wave goodbye to Miss Carrington.
What?
Bye, Aggie. Hurry back.
That was Mrs. Philip B. Carrington III?
Yep, but she asked us to call her Aggie. Awful nice woman. Come on in.
Chief, you're trembling.
Romance does that to me.
Romance?
Jed and Mrs. Carrington. They're perfectly mated. 50 million and 24 million. Oh, marriages like that are made in Fort Knox.
Chief, that's heaven.
It must be.
When may I have something to eat?
When the market delivers the groceries.
But I'm famished.
So go pick 'em up.
I am not employed to do marketing.
Look, Field Marshal, I can't cook 'em if I ain't got 'em, right?
You're slashing my boots. How can Mrs. Carrington abide such a slovenly domestic?
Oh, you ought to see the domestics next door. A cook and a caretaker straight out of Tobacco Road. He hasn't shaved in a week, and she wears army shoes.
You should apply for work there. You'd fit right in.
Reg, why don't we stop this bickering? Why don't we just step outside and settle this man to man?
Well, for one thing, we're a man short.
Fake it.
What?
Don't get run over by a shopping cart, Tarzan.
Howdy, Aggie.
Granny, come on in.
Thank you. Did your groceries come yet?
No, the chauffeur just went to pick 'em up.
Well, I brought you a little treat. Some clam chowder.
Clam chowder?
No, Clem. He was our goat. Got mean and I made soup out of him.
Yeah. Thanks.
Go ahead and eat some if you want to.
No. I'll wait for the chauffeur. He's hungry, too.
Fine woman, Aggie. I like you.
Well, thank you, Granny. Come on and sit down.
No. You're busy with your scrubbing. Can I help you?
Oh, no. No, I'll get it done. Come on right over here and sit down. Oh, my dogs are killing me. Ah.
A woman with a big mansion like this and all them millions, I'm surprised that you ain't got 4 or 5 scrub women and maids a-helping you.
Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III does not throw her money around recklessly.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Jed feels the same way.
Jed?
My son-in-law. You met him this morning.
Oh, the fellow with the,
That's him. The good-looking one.
Yeah.
He's a widower, you know.
Really?
Hard worker, just like you. Morning till night taking care of that big place. You can't hardly find a man like Jed no more.
Not in Beverly Hills.
I hear you're a widow.
Yeah. Where'd you hear that?
Mr. Drysdale. Oh, he says he knows all about you. Says you're a fine woman.
Well, who is he? What's he do?
He's a bank president. He's over to our house a lot. Comes over to talk with Jed about all of his millions. You ought to get better acquainted with Jed. He's a fine catch.
Uh-huh.
That man can do anything. Pick a squirrel out of a tree at 200 yards. Put an edge on a plow that would cut through a hickory root. Plays the harmonica. Makes his shoes.
Sounds like a real winner.
Come on over and get acquainted.
Oh, I'd like to, but I gotta... Oh, my back is killing me.
Rheumatiz?
Well, something like that.
You come on over, honey. I got some medicine that'll fix you up. Make it myself.
Is it any good?
Good! I've had rheumatiz for 40 years. Loved every minute of it.
Well, Miss Hathaway, what's the news? How is that flaming romance coming along?
What flaming romance?
Jed Clampett and Mrs. Carrington. We've got to keep that affair at white heat.
Chief, she came over to use the telephone.
Right. And we mustn't let it cool down. By George, I got a great idea. Let's have the wedding here in the bank.
Wedding?
Yes, they can be married in the vault. Or better, or worse. For richer, or richer.
Get a hold of yourself.
Oh, excuse me. I'm an incurable romantic.
The fact is, we don't even know what Mrs. Carrington looks like.
Well, she's beautiful. Terrific figure.
How do you know?
I've got her picture right here.
That is a financial report.
Yeah. Isn't she lovely? Look at that cash on hand. What a figure.
Chief, I'm becoming seriously concerned about you. Your obsession with money is reaching psychotic proportions.
And look at those tax-free municipals.
Chief.
And of course, after they're married, we'll get some great tax benefits from...
Chief. You need professional help.
Okay. Hire anyone you need. I want the biggest wedding in town. Now, in the meantime, you go on up there and you start playing Cupid. If you can get those two married, by the time we post statements on Friday, there'll be a big bonus in it.
I don't want a bonus.
I'm not offering you one. The bonus is for me. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be up there promoting the romance of the century.
I would hardly call the mercenary matching of Mr. Clampett and Mrs. Carrington romance.
No. Well, what's your idea of romance?
Romeo and Juliet, Tristan and Isolde, Venus and Adonis, Heloise and Abelard.
Baloney. I'll bet Clampett and Carrington have got more money than all of them put together.
This is getting worse. Please, let me call a psychiatrist.
What for?
Two people can have all the money in the world and still not be happy.
I think you'd better call a psychiatrist. You're cracking up. First, drive me to the Clampetts. We've got to keep fanning those flames of love.
You don't know the meaning of the word. If people are in love, they can be deliriously, ecstatically happy without a penny to their name.
I'll drive. You lie down in the back seat.
No trace of that goat, Granny, but he'll probably turn up around supper time.
You can bet on it. Sit down. I want to talk to you.
What about?
About that fine, big, strapping, hard-working, rich widow woman that moved in next door to us.
Granny, you ain't gonna commence matchmaking again, are you?
Of course not. She can have her pick of any man in Beverly Hills.
Then let her do the picking.
She'll get snapped up. quick enough. A woman like Miss Philip Brentwood Carrington III don't have to beat the bushes with no stick to get herself a husband.
Who you pouring that for?
Oh, that's for Miss Carrington. I think she's going to drop over.
She will if she drinks that. And she'll lay there for a spell.
Hi there.
Well, Aggie, Jed was just talking about you dropping over.
Howdy, man.
Don't let me interrupt anything.
Oh, no. Jed was just leaving to go upstairs and shave and change his clothes. Ain't you, Jed?
Well, I reckon I am. Excuse me, ladies.
I thought I'd give that rheumatism medicine a try.
It's right here. Sit down. Well, what do you think about Jed? Handsome devil, ain't he?
Well, he's all right if you like that rugged type.
You will. You will.
Bring the flowers and candy, will you? I've got the jewelry and perfume.
Chief, may I point out that Mr. Clampetts may resent your implication that he doesn't know how to court a woman?
Well, he doesn't. Not a woman like Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III. She's used to being showered with gifts and attention. Oh, we've got to get those two lovebirds to the altar before estimated tax returns are due.
I suppose the ceremony will be performed by a CPA.
Can they do that?
Howdy, folks. Come on in.
Thank you.
There, I see you're wearing your Sunday best. Are you planning to call on Mrs. Carrington?
Oh, as a matter of fact, she's sitting out in the kitchen jawing with Granny.
Oh, good.
What's all this?
Flowers and candy?
Who first?
I think I'd better let Mr. Drysdale explain that.
Well, actually, they're for you, Mr. Clampett.
Me?
Yes.
Mr. Drysdale.
You see, here in the city, things move at a faster pace than you used to back in the hills. Now, back there, if you liked someone, you'd probably invite them to take a walk on Sunday afternoon, shoot them a rabbit or something. But out here, you have to shower them with gifts and attention. Now, in addition to the flowers and candy, I've taken the liberty of picking this out for you. Beautiful, isn't it?
Right.
Oh, and some perfume.
Mr. Drysdale.
Yes?
Just shoot me a rabbit.
These aren't for you. These are for you to give to Mrs. Carrington.
What for?
Well, you like her, don't you?
Don't know her.
Well, let me tell you about her.
Oh, what a lovely woman. She's got everything. Wealth, culture, breeding, education, money. Lots of money. Beauty, sophistication. A princess, Mr. Clampett. A veritable princess.
How's your back?
What back? Oh, mine. Oh, it's great. You know, you're right about this stuff. It makes having rheumatism a ball.
Just sip it, honey. Don't gulp.
Okay.
Now, let's get back to Jed. Would you like to step out with him tonight?
No, thanks.
Gulp it.
Gee, that's beautiful material. That reminds me of Hawaii. I used to have a moo-moo like this.
A what?
A moo-moo.
Go back to sipping, honey. There ain't no cows this color.
I tell you, Mr. Clampett, if I weren't a married man, I'd be in that kitchen on my knees, asking that remarkable little woman to be my bride.
You talking about Aggie or Granny?
I'm talking about Aggie. Why, she was the toast of Europe. Every man in Paris was after her.
No offense, but they must have been kind of short of women.
Would you like to wait in the car?
No, I'm enjoying this tremendously.
Now, Mr. Clark, think of your daughter, Ellie. Think how wonderful it would be to have a mother like Mrs. Carrington. Who could teach her the social graces? Mold that child in her own image. Why, in a little while, Ellie would be just like her. Sweet, refined, a perfect little lady.
I better fetch Jim. Enough of this. Get yourself some buttermilk from the icebox.
Buttermilk around the icebox. La, la, la. Flowers.
No. Wait. Just give her these. It could be the start of a beautiful account. Courtship.
Friendship. Mr. Drysdale, I thought Granny was a matchmaker, but you take the rag off in the bush.
Where's Jed? Jed, where you going?
I'm going upstairs and lock myself in my room. It ain't safe to be single around here.
But Aggie's waiting for you in the kitchen, and she ain't gonna keep you well.
Who are you? I'm Melvin Drysdale.
Milby, baby, I'm your Aggie.
These gifts.
Oh, that's awful sweet of you, honey. But let's cool her. Leave me.
Agnes, you are to come home immediately. Mrs. Carrington just arrived.
Who?
Oh, no, moneybags to go peddle her papayas. I have just snagged me a rich banker.
I'll never know what he sees in that woman.
It's gonna be hard to break the news to Miss Drysdale.
The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies moves with seamless comic logic from the football fever of the previous sequences into an equally earnest and equally doomed enthusiasm for ice hockey. Having discovered that Linda Curry's interest in the gridiron was less a matter of romantic preference than of televised spectacle, Jethro Bodine learns to his further dismay that the young woman's affections have now shifted toward hockey players. The revelation arrives with the blunt force that Max Baer Jr.'s performance always converted into endearing vulnerability. When Jed inquires what in tarnation a hockey player might be, Jethro supplies a definition that is both accurate and unintentionally comic. It's a fellow that goes slipping and sliding on the ice trying to hit a little old round piece of rubber into a net with a curved stick. The description itself is precise enough, yet the tone of wounded discovery with which it is delivered transforms the information into pure character comedy. Linda, it seems, is just crazy about it, and Jethro's heart, already bruised by the football episode, now suffers a second and deeper wound. Buddy Ebsen's Jed Clampett receives this news with the patient gravity that defined his portrayal of the family patriarch. His suggestion that Jethro might consider finding another girl is met with the absolute refusal that reveals the depth of the young man's feelings. Linda's the only girl I could ever love, and if I can't have her, ain't nobody gonna get her. The exchange that follows is one of the script's quiet masterpieces of comic timing and character insight. Jed points out the logical difficulty in the proposed solution of drowning oneself as a means of preventing others from claiming the beloved. Jethro is forced to confront the practical flaw in his reasoning, and the moment of recognition, "You made another mistake, didn't I?" is played with a mixture of chagrin and continued determination that Baer would have rendered with perfect physical and vocal control. The young man does not love often, he insists, but when he loves deep. That declaration, simple and absolute, anchors the entire sequence in genuine emotion, even as the surrounding circumstances grow increasingly absurd. The decision to switch from football to hockey is reached with the same practical logic that has guided the Clampetts through every previous cultural encounter. If Linda prefers hockey players, then Jethro must become one. Mr. Drysdale is once again summoned, and once again he arrives with an air of professional expertise that the script gently undercuts. Hockey, he declares, is a fine sport and the family will like it. The subsequent fitting of Jethro into hockey gear produces a new round of physical comedy. The uniform is even more constraining than the football pads, and Jethro's complaint that Linda could hug and kiss him like crazy without his ever knowing it because of the protective equipment is both funny and oddly poignant. The gear that is supposed to make him attractive simultaneously renders him inaccessible to the very affection he seeks. The contradiction is pure Beverly Hillbillies. The tools of modern specialization create obstacles to the simple human contact the Clampetts value most. Irene Ryan's Granny observes these developments with her characteristic blend of sharp commentary and underlying concern. Her presence remains a steadying force even when she is not at the center of the action. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae continues to participate in the family's collective efforts with the open-hearted energy that made the character so appealing. The ensemble remains tightly knit, each member responding to Jethro's distress with a mixture of practical advice and affectionate support. When Jed proposes that the young man simply begin hockey, and the suggestion is offered with the same calm practicality he once brought to the problems of mountain living. The family's willingness to follow Jethro from one sport to another reflects their fundamental loyalty. They may not understand the rules of either game, but they understand the needs of the heart. The script's treatment of Jethro's melodramatic threats of self-destruction deserves particularly close attention. Having failed to impress Linda with football, and now facing the prospect of equally unsuccessful hockey, the young man prepares what he describes as a combination suicide note, last will and testament, and shopping list. The inclusion of the shopping list is a masterstroke of character comedy. Even in the midst of romantic despair, Jethro remains practical enough to remember the household's needs. When he announces his intention to end it all while there is still light enough for Linda to see him, the declaration is both absurd and strangely touching. The image of the large young man preparing to push scrap iron into the cement pond in order to break Linda's heart as she has broken his is pure physical farce, yet it is grounded in an emotional sincerity that prevents the sequence from tipping into pure ridicule. Jed's intervention in these moments is a model of parental wisdom. He points out the practical difficulties of enjoying Linda's remorse from the bottom of the pond. He questions the logic of drowning as a means of preventing others from claiming the girl. He gently steers Jethro toward the more constructive path of learning the new sport. Throughout, Ebsen's performance would have balanced dry humor with genuine concern, never allowing the comedy to undercut the emotional reality of the young man's distress. The result is a sequence that is simultaneously hilarious and oddly moving, a combination the series achieved with remarkable consistency. The historical context of ice hockey in the mid-1960s adds further resonance. While professional football was rapidly becoming a national passion, hockey remained a more regional interest, stronger in the northern cities and in Canada. The idea that a Beverly Hills maid would shift her televised enthusiasm from the Rams and Packers to hockey players is itself a small comic exaggeration that serves the larger theme of unpredictable modern taste. Color television once again plays a crucial role. The same technological marvel that first drew Linda to the Clampett parlor now threatens to draw her toward an entirely different set of athletic heroes. The Clampetts' repeated attempts to master the preferred sport of the moment become a gentle satire of the consumer culture that encourages such rapid shifts of attention. Mr. Drysdale's continued involvement supplies the familiar note of self-interested helpfulness. His willingness to instruct the family in hockey is motivated at least in part by the desire to keep the Clampett fortune securely within his bank. Yet the script never reduces him to pure caricature. His exasperation with the family's literal-minded approach to the game, his attempts to demonstrate proper technique, and his eventual entanglement in the larger romantic complications all reflect the character's blend of greed and genuine if limited goodwill. Raymond Bailey's performance always allowed that complexity to emerge, and the hockey sequences provide ample opportunity for it. The physical comedy of the hockey gear itself is developed with the same care that marked the football sequences. Jethro's complaint that the protective equipment would prevent him from feeling Linda's affection is both practical and symbolic. The modern world's specialized tools designed to protect and enhance performance simultaneously create barriers to the direct human contact the Clampetts prize. When Jethro declares that he would rather not wear the gear if it means remaining unaware of hugs and kisses, the line captures the series' consistent preference for unmediated experience over technological or specialized mediation. The humor is broad, yet the underlying value is serious. Jed's patient attempts to reason with Jethro about the futility of the suicide plan produce some of the script's most effective dialogue. The young man's insistence that he will enjoy Linda's remorse from beyond the grave is met with the calm observation that a drowned man is unlikely to enjoy anything at all. The moment of recognition that follows Jethro's realization that he has made another mistake is played with a mixture of embarrassment and continued determination that keeps the character sympathetic. He does not abandon his feelings, he simply redirects them toward the new project of becoming a hockey player. That capacity for renewed enthusiasm even in the face of repeated failure is one of Jethro's most endearing qualities, and Bear's performance would have made it fully visible. The script's attention to the details of Jethro's despair rewards close reading. His preparation of the scrap iron weights his concern that Linda should be watching when he ends it, all his combination of suicide note and shopping list, all of these elements combine to create a portrait of romantic suffering that is simultaneously exaggerated and strangely believable. The young man feels deeply. The world of Beverly Hills does not always reciprocate those feelings in the way he expects. The resulting gap produces comedy, yet the comedy never denies the reality of the emotion. That balance is one of the series' greatest achievements, and it is fully present in these sequences. Granny's presence continues to supply the sharp-tongued commentary that keeps the family grounded. Her observations about the impracticality of Jethro's plans, her eventual involvement in the larger romantic complications, and her steady affection for the young man all reflect the protective instincts that define her character. Ryan's ability to move rapidly between scolding and tenderness made Granny one of the most memorable comic creations of the decade. And the hockey sequences allow that range to emerge with particular clarity. Ellie Mae's participation remains consistent with her established character. She supports the family's efforts, joins in the practical tasks, and responds to Jethro's distress with the same open-hearted concern that marks all her interactions. Douglas's performance always balanced the character's tomboy energy with genuine sweetness, and that balance is visible even in sequences where she is not the primary focus. The transition from football to hockey also allows the script to explore the theme of adaptation. The Clampetts are willing to learn whatever skills the current situation seems to require. Their learning is imperfect, their execution frequently chaotic, yet their willingness itself is presented as a form of virtue. In a culture increasingly organized around specialized expertise and mediated experience, the family's amateur enthusiasm becomes a quiet affirmation of the value of trying. Even when the trying produces more bruises than success, the effort remains admirable. Mr. Drysdale's instruction in hockey produces its own comic complications. His attempts to demonstrate technique, the family's literal-minded responses, and the inevitable physical mishaps all follow the pattern established in the football sequences while introducing new variations. The puck itself becomes a small comic object, with Jed observing that it would just about fit in Jethro's mouth, a line that captures both the object's size and the young man's tendency to speak before thinking. The humor is gentle, rooted in character rather than in external jokes. As Jethro prepares to embrace the new sport, the script layers in additional reminders of the larger romantic stakes. Linda's preference for hockey players is not a considered judgment of athletic merit, it is simply the latest shift in her televised interests. The unpredictability of those interests becomes itself a source of comedy. The Clampetts' repeated attempts to match the current preference reflect both their loyalty to Jethro and their bewilderment at the rapid changes of modern taste. That bewilderment is never allowed to become bitterness. The family continues to meet each new requirement with the same open-hearted determination. The melodramatic threats of self-destruction reach their comic climax in the sequences involving the cement pond and the scrap iron. Jethro's vision of Linda tearing through the hedge, wailing and bellowing, throwing herself on his lifeless body and smothering him with kisses, is pure romantic fantasy of the most exaggerated kind. Jed's calm deflation of that fantasy, pointing out that a drowned man cannot enjoy the remorse he has so carefully imagined, brings the young man back to practical reality without ever dismissing the depth of his feelings. The exchange is a model of the series' ability to balance broad comedy with genuine emotional insight. In the larger context of the composite narrative, these sequences serve as a bridge between the football fever of the earlier episodes and the more magical interventions that will follow. Jethro's repeated failures in the realm of conventional athletic courtship prepare the ground for Granny's decision to resort to the old mountain methods of the love conjure. The young man's depth of feeling, established so clearly in the hockey sequences, makes the later magical complications feel like a natural extension of the family's concern rather than an arbitrary plot development. The enduring appeal of these scenes lies in their refusal to mock the sincerity of Jethro's emotions. His despair is real. His determination to win Linda's affection by becoming whatever she currently prefers is both absurd and oddly noble. The family's support is steady and practical. The surrounding world of Beverly Hills continues to operate according to its own mysterious and rapidly shifting rules. The comedy arises from the gap between the Clampetts' straightforward approach and the more complicated motivations of those around them, yet the comedy never denies the value of that straightforwardness. Max Baer Jr.'s physical and emotional performance would have been essential to the success of these sequences. The young man's large frame, his expressive face, his ability to move rapidly from enthusiasm to despair and back again all required a performer capable of broad comedy without sacrificing the character's essential sweetness. Baer delivered that combination with remarkable consistency. When Jethro prepares the scrap iron and composes his combination suicide note and shopping list, the moment is funny because the audience understands the genuine feeling that underlies the exaggeration. When he accepts the necessity of learning hockey, that acceptance is played with the same wholehearted commitment. Buddy Ebsen's Jed remains the calm moral center. His patient questioning of the suicide plan, his practical suggestions regarding the new sport, and his steady affection for the young man all reflect the character's fundamental decency. Ebsen never allowed Jed to become a mere foil. Instead, he invested the role with a quiet authority that gave the entire series its emotional foundation. The hockey sequences allow that authority to emerge with particular clarity and warmth. Irene Ryan's granny continues to supply the sharp observation and protective concern that define her character. Her presence reminds the audience that the family's response to Jethro's distress is collective rather than individual. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae participates with the same open-hearted energy that marks all her interactions. The ensemble remains tightly coordinated, each performer contributing to a shared comic and emotional texture. The historical moment in which these episodes first aired adds further resonance. The mid-1960s saw rapid changes in American popular culture, including the rising prominence of televised sports and the increasing specialization of athletic equipment and technique. The Clampetts' amateur enthusiasm for whichever sport currently occupies Linda's attention becomes a gentle commentary on that specialization. Their willingness to try, even when the trying is clumsy and frequently unsuccessful, affirms the value of direct engagement over passive consumption. In the final analysis, the transition from football to hockey and the accompanying melodramatic threats stand as a richly detailed exploration of romantic sincerity in a world of shifting modern tastes. Through careful attention to dialogue, physical comedy, character motivation, and historical context, the sequences advance the composite narrative while also deepening the audience's affection for the Clampett family. Jethro's determination to become whatever Linda prefers, the family's steady support, and the surrounding comic complications together create a portrait of loyalty and perseverance that remains as appealing today as it was when the episodes first aired. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to declare its values in explicit speeches. It simply lived them scene after scene with the quiet confidence of characters who knew who they were, and remained true to that knowledge no matter how strange or unpredictable the surrounding world became. In the movement from gridiron to ice, those values are on full and heartfelt display. The composite script of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies reaches one of its most extravagantly comic and strangely poignant peaks in the sequences surrounding Jethro Bodine's determination to end his romantic suffering by drowning himself in the family's cement. Having failed to win Linda Curry's affection through football uniforms and facing the equally daunting prospect of mastering ice hockey, the young man concludes that only a dramatic exit from life itself will properly impress upon the young woman the depth of the heart she has broken. The preparation for this exit is rendered with the meticulous attention to absurd detail that characterized the series at its best. Jethro gathers scrap iron belonging to Jed and Granny, ties ropes around the heavy pieces, and prepares to push the entire collection into the pond so that the weight will pull him under. When Jed discovers the project and inquires what in the blue blazes is going on, Jethro explains with perfect seriousness that he aims to break Linda's heart as she has broken his. The declaration is both ridiculous and oddly moving, a combination the show achieved with remarkable consistency across its long run. Buddy Ebsen's Jed Clampett responds to the scheme with the patient practical wisdom that defined his portrayal of the family patriarch. He points out first that the scrap iron does not belong to Linda, and therefore should not be sacrificed to the pond. When Jethro insists that the loss of the metal is irrelevant because he himself is departing for that big court-in parlor in the sky, Jed observes that any damage to the family's property will result in a more immediate and less romantic destination, the little woodshed out back. The exchange is a masterclass in comic deflation. Ebsen's delivery would have balanced dry humor with genuine concern, never allowing the laughter to undercut the emotional reality of the young man's distress. Jethro's vision of the aftermath is pure romantic fantasy of the most exaggerated kind. He can hardly wait, he declares, to come tearing through that hedge after the deed is done, although the logic of this posthumous enjoyment is immediately called into question. He imagines Linda wailing and bellowing, throwing herself upon his lifeless body, smothering him with kisses and begging him to love her. The pleasure he anticipates from this scene is so vivid that he seems almost to look forward to the drowning itself. The script's treatment of the logical contradictions in Jethro's plan produces some of its most effective comedy. Jed asks the simple and devastating question: how is the young man going to enjoy any of this once he is drowned? The moment of recognition that follows is played with a mixture of chagrin and continued determination. Jethro realizes that he has made another mistake, yet the realization does not diminish the depth of his feelings. He remains crazy mad in love with Linda. And the fact that she cares only for football players or hockey players only intensifies his despair. The line "I don't love often but I love deep" stands as one of the purest expressions of the character's emotional nature. Max Baer Jr. would have delivered it with a sincerity that made the surrounding absurdity both funnier and more touching. The preparation of the suicide apparatus itself is described with loving attention to physical detail. Jethro has assembled a half-ton of scrap iron and arranged the ropes so that the weight will pull him under. The image of the large young man carefully engineering his own disappearance into the cement pond is pure visual farce, yet it is grounded in an emotional commitment that prevents the sequence from becoming merely silly. When Jed points out that the iron belongs to the family and that ruining it will have consequences, Jethro's response reveals the single-minded focus of his romantic suffering. Practical considerations of property and self-preservation have been temporarily suspended. Only the need to make Linda feel the weight of her indifference remains. The inclusion of a combination suicide note, last will and testament, and shopping list is a masterstroke of character comedy. Even in the midst of preparing to depart this world, Jethro remains mindful of the household's everyday needs. Randy, the script notes, wanted him to go to the market, but the more pressing business of self-destruction must take precedence while there is still daylight enough for Linda to witness the event. The blending of the profound and the mundane in a single document captures the essential nature of the character. Jethro's feelings are large and absolute, yet they coexist with the practical habits of a young man who has always lived within a functioning family economy. Baer's performance would have made both sides of this contradiction fully visible, allowing the audience to laugh at the absurdity while still caring about the pain that produces it. Jed's interventions throughout these sequences are models of parental care. He does not dismiss Jethro's feelings. He does not mock the depth of the young man's despair. Instead, he questions the practical logic of the proposed solution and gently steers the conversation toward more constructive alternatives. When Jethro insists that drowning himself will somehow prevent other men from claiming Linda, Jed points out the obvious difficulty in this reasoning. The young man is forced to confront the flaw, and the moment of recognition becomes both comic and oddly tender. Ebsen's ability to deliver such corrections without ever seeming superior or unkind was one of the great strengths of his performance. Jed remains a father figure in the truest sense, present, patient, and fundamentally supportive even when the schemes he must address are spectacularly unwise. The cement pond itself functions as more than a convenient body of water. In the world of the Beverly Hillbillies, it has always been a site of comic possibility, a place where the family's rural habits collide with the expectations of Beverly Hills. Previous episodes had already established its usefulness for swimming, for cooling off, and for various forms of hill country recreation. Now, it becomes the proposed instrument of romantic martyrdom. The transformation is pure series logic. The same ordinary feature of the Clampetts estate that has served so many cheerful purposes is pressed into service for an entirely different kind of drama, and the result is comedy that feels both fresh and deeply consistent with everything that has come before. Irene Ryan's granny is less central to the immediate action of the suicide preparations, yet her presence is felt in the family's collective response. The protective instincts that will later drive her to brew a powerful love conjure are already visible in the concern the entire household extends to Jethro. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae likewise participates in the broader pattern of family support. When she is sent to make sure Linda is watching, or when she attempts to dissuade her cousin from the latest extreme measure, her actions reflect the same open-hearted loyalty that defines the Clampetts as a unit. The sense of collective responsibility for one another's happiness remains one of the series' most enduring and appealing qualities. The historical and cultural context of the mid-1960s adds further layers of meaning to these sequences. American popular culture of the period was filled with dramatic expressions of romantic suffering, from the torch songs of the radio to the melodramas of film and television. Jethro's willingness to stage his own death as a means of awakening Linda's remorse belongs to that larger tradition. Yet it is filtered through the specific sensibility of a young man raised in the Ozarks and transplanted to Beverly Hills. The result is a form of melodrama that is both recognizable and completely original. The audience laughs at the exaggeration while still recognizing the genuine feeling that underlies it. Mr. Drysdale's absence from the immediate suicide preparations is itself significant. The banker's interventions tend to occur when there is some prospect of financial or social advantage. Jethro's private despair offers no such advantage, and so the family is left to handle the crisis according to its own values. The contrast between Drysdale's calculating helpfulness in other sequences and the Clampetts' uncomplicated concern in this one quietly reinforces the series' moral hierarchy. Money and social position matter in Beverly Hills, loyalty and care matter more in the Clampett household. The physical comedy of the scrap iron scheme would have been staged with the precise timing the series' directors and performers had perfected over many seasons. The image of Jethro carefully arranging the weights, testing the ropes, and preparing to step into the pond creates a sequence of visual gags that remain grounded in character. When Jed interrupts the process and begins to dismantle the logic of the plan, the shift from physical preparation to verbal correction is handled with seamless ease. The audience is never allowed to forget that the young man staging this elaborate exit is the same large, enthusiastic, fundamentally good-hearted Jethro they have come to know and affectionately endure. The script's attention to the details of Jethro's fantasy of Linda's remorse rewards close reading. He imagines her tearing through the hedge, wailing and bellowing, throwing herself on his body, and smothering him with kisses. The language is heightened and theatrical, yet it is entirely consistent with the young man's romantic imagination. He has learned about love from the limited models available to him, and he has constructed a scenario that satisfies every requirement of those models. Jed's calm observation that none of this enjoyment will be possible once the drowning is complete brings the fantasy back to earth without ever ridiculing the need that produced it. The exchange is a perfect example of the series' ability to balance broad comedy with genuine emotional insight. As the intervention continues, Jethro is gradually steered away from the pond and toward the more practical project of learning hockey. The transition is handled with the same gentle logic that governs so many of the family's decisions. If the dramatic exit will not achieve the desired result, then another approach must be tried. The young man's capacity for renewed enthusiasm, even in the face of repeated disappointment, remains one of his most endearing traits. Bear's performance would have made the shift from despair to determined new effort fully visible, allowing the audience to laugh at the extremity of the earlier plan while still rooting for the next attempt. The larger thematic implications of the suicide scheme are significant. In a culture increasingly organized around mediated experiences and calculated social performances, Jethro's willingness to stake everything on a single dramatic gesture represents a form of absolute sincerity. The gesture itself is misguided. The logic is flawed. The practical consequences have not been considered, yet the sincerity is real. And the series treats that sincerity with respect even while exposing its limitations. Jed's patient corrections do not diminish the young man's feelings. They simply redirect them toward ends that might actually be achievable. The cement pond, the scrap iron, the ropes, the combination note, and the detailed fantasy of Linda's remorse together form a complete comic world. Every element is developed with care, every contradiction is gently exposed. Every emotional reality is honored, The result is a sequence that stands among the most memorable in the composite narrative. A perfect illustration of the series' gift for turning the ordinary features of the Clampett estate into instruments of extravagant and affectionate comedy. Max Baer Jr.'s physical and emotional range would have been essential to the success of these scenes. The young man's large frame made the image of him preparing to sink beneath the weight of scrap iron inherently comic. His expressive face made the transitions from determination to chagrin to renewed hope fully legible. His voice made the declarations of undying love and the admissions of logical error equally convincing. The performance required a delicate balance of exaggeration and sincerity, and Baer delivered that balance with remarkable consistency. Buddy Ebsen's Jed remains the calm center of the sequence. His questions are practical. His corrections are gentle. His affection is steady. Ebsen never allowed the character to become a mere straight man or a source of easy superiority. Instead, he invested Jed with a quiet moral authority that made every intervention feel like an act of care rather than an act of judgment. The suicide scheme sequences allow that authority to emerge with particular clarity and warmth. Irene Ryan's Granny and Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae, though less central to the immediate action, remain present in the family's collective response. Their concern for Jethro is part of the larger pattern of loyalty that defines the Clampett household. The sense that every member's happiness matters to every other member is one of the series' most enduring appeals, and it is fully visible even in sequences where the primary focus remains on Jed and Jethro. The historical moment in which these episodes first aired adds further resonance. The mid-1960s saw a popular culture filled with dramatic expressions of romantic suffering, yet few of those expressions filtered the tradition through the specific sensibility of a transplanted Ozark family. The result is a form of melodrama that feels both familiar and completely original. The audience recognizes the conventions and laughs at the particular way the Clampetts inhabit them. In the final analysis, the scrap iron and cement pond sequences stand as a richly detailed exploration of romantic sincerity, familial care, and the comic limits of dramatic gesture. Through careful attention to dialogue, physical comedy, character motivation, and thematic depth, they advance the composite narrative while also deepening the audience's affection for the entire Clampett family. Jethro's determination to make Linda feel the weight of her indifference, Jed's patient dismantling of the plan's logic, and the surrounding details of scrap iron ropes and shopping lists together create a portrait of love and loyalty that remains as appealing today as it was when the episodes first reached the air. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to announce its values in explicit speeches. It simply lived them scene after scene, with the quiet confidence of characters who knew who they were and remained true to that knowledge no matter how extravagant or improbable their circumstances became. In the shadow of the cement pond and the weight of the scrap iron, those values are on full and heartfelt display. The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies turns from the athletic and romantic misadventures of Jethro Bodine to a deeper and more magical strain of family concern when Granny determines that the time has come to secure a husband for Ellie Mae by means of an old mountain love conjure. The decision arises from a conviction that runs through many of the series' most affectionate explorations of rural values. The belief that a young woman who has passed a certain age without marrying is in danger of being left behind. In Granny's firm opinion that age is 14, anything beyond it, she declares, and a girl is sliding downhill. The city may talk of later primes and extended youth, but Granny will have none of such notions. Cousin Pearl has already written from the hills to report that folks back home are beginning to talk and to ask about the spinster daughter. The pressure of that distant community combined with Granny's own fierce protectiveness produces one of the most richly comic and culturally resonant sequences in the entire composite script. Irene Ryan's performance as Granny reaches a particular peak of energy and conviction in these scenes. When Jed finds her at work in the kitchen and inquires what she is cooking, she first claims to be steaming grits. Pressed further, she admits the truth with the bluntness that always defined the character she is brewing up a love conjure. The exchange that follows is pure series gold. Jed reminds her that it is against the law to cook moonshine in Beverly Hills. Granny retorts that she is not cooking moonshine and that calling it rheumatism medicine does not make the activity legal either. When Jed demands to know what the concoction actually is, she reveals the ancestral secret. Her great-great-granny left her the formula to be used only when a woman is too old to get a man any other way. Jed's gallant attempt to reassure her that she herself remains a fine figure of a woman is brushed aside. The conjure is not for her. It is for Ellie Mae. The poor old thing, Granny insists, has already talked away her golden years, and only the old mountain methods can now secure her future. The script's treatment of the age question is both comic and quietly revealing of mid-1960s attitudes toward women and marriage. Granny's insistence that Prime is 14 belongs to a rural tradition in which early marriage was common and prolonged single status carried social stigma. The Beverly Hills world around the Clampetts operates according to different timelines, yet Granny refuses to adjust her standards. Ellie Mae, portrayed by Donna Douglas with the tomboy vitality and genuine sweetness that made the character so appealing, is in fact a young woman of fully marriageable age by contemporary urban measures. The comedy arises from the gap between Granny's mountain calculus and the reality of the family's new circumstances. The audience is invited to laugh at the exaggeration while still recognizing the genuine care that motivates it. Jed's response to the project is characteristically measured. He has already spoken more than once with Mr. Drysdale about finding a suitable fellow for Ellie Mae, and each time the banker has promised action that never materializes. Granny has reached the end of her patience with such delays. Mr. Drysdale, she declares, cannot even secure a husband for his own secretary. The family has waited long enough. The old ways must now be tried. Buddy Ebsen's performance would have balanced affection for Granny's determination with a quiet skepticism about the methods involved. Jed does not forbid the conjure. He simply observes its progress with the same patient attention he brings to every family enterprise, ready to intervene if the consequences threaten to become unmanageable. The brewing process itself is rendered with loving attention to ritual detail. Granny works for 3 days on the concoction. When the moment arrives to complete the spell, she orders Jethro to get the fire roaring so that the smoke will blow all over town. Jethro, ever obedient and ever slightly alarmed, questions the risk. There is no telling who the smoke will blow on. Granny accepts the uncertainty as the necessary price of action. The chance must be taken. The spell itself is chanted with the full force of Ryan's vocal energy. Magic powder, magic brew in the fire and up the flue. Fetch a man and fetch a minister, so poor old Ellie won't be a spinster. The slight stumble over the final word spinster rather than spinster and Granny's immediate self-correction that she is a scientist, not a poet, provide a perfect grace note of character comedy. Even in the midst of high magical purpose, the practical mountain woman remains visible. The decision to send the smoke across Beverly Hills carries rich thematic weight. In the closed world of the Ozarks, a love conjure might have affected only the nearby community. In the open, interconnected landscape of the city, the same smoke can travel in unpredictable directions and settle upon entirely unintended recipients. The script will later exploit that unpredictability to the fullest, but even in these preparatory scenes the risk is clearly stated. Granny's willingness to accept the danger reflects both her determination and her confidence in the old knowledge. The modern world may have its banks and its color televisions and its professional escort services, but when those resources fail, the mountain methods remain available. The cultural context of folk magic in mid-20th century America adds further resonance. Belief in charms, conjures, and traditional remedies persisted in many rural communities long after urban America had largely consigned such practices to the realm of superstition or entertainment. The Beverly Hillbillies repeatedly drew upon that persistence for comic effect, yet it never treated the beliefs themselves with simple contempt. Granny's conjures are presented as extensions of her character, practical, forceful, and rooted in an older way of understanding the world. When they produce unexpected results, the comedy arises from the collision between those older understandings and the newer social arrangements of Beverly Hills, not from any assumption that the older understandings are merely foolish. Jed's earlier efforts to work through Mr. Drysdale provide a useful contrast. The banker's promises have been repeated since the family's arrival in California, yet nothing concrete has resulted. The professional and financial networks of the city have failed to solve the problem. Granny's decision to resort to the conjure is therefore not merely eccentric. It is a logical response within her own frame of reference to the demonstrated limitations of the modern approach. The script allows both perspectives to coexist without forcing a simple victory of one over the other. The audience is free to smile at Granny's methods while still respecting the concern that drives them. Ellie Mae's own position in these sequences is handled with the same affectionate care that marks all of Douglas's work in the role. She is not consulted about the conjure, she is simply its intended beneficiary. The assumption that a suitable husband must be secured for her, and that the securing is the responsibility of the older generation, reflects the familial structure the series consistently portrayed. Ellie Mae's tomboy independence and her deep attachment to animals are never presented as reasons to exempt her from the expectation of marriage. At the same time, the show never forces her into a conventional romantic plot against her nature. The tension between those two realities supplies much of the gentle comedy surrounding her character across the series' run. Jethro's role in the brewing process is limited but revealing. He is ordered to split wood and to keep the fire going. His questions about the risk are brushed aside. His obedience is taken for granted. The young man who only recently was preparing to drown himself for love is now pressed into service as the practical assistant in another family member's romantic emergency. The continuity of his willingness to help even when the project is not his own reinforces the sense of collective loyalty that defines the Clampett household. The physical details of the conjure's preparation reward close attention. The 3 days of work, the careful management of the fire, the precise moment of casting the powder into the flames, the directed flow of the smoke, all of these elements create a sense of ritual seriousness that makes the subsequent comic complications more effective. Ryan's performance would have balanced the gravity of the undertaking with the sharp practical energy that always characterized Granny. The audience never doubts that she believes in the method. That belief, absolute and unembarrassed, is itself a source of both comedy and a certain unexpected dignity. The script's language in these scenes is rich with the vernacular rhythms that gave the series so much of its distinctive flavor. Granny's declarations about prime age, her dismissal of city talk, her ancestral citation of the great-great-granny who left the secret, her correction of her own poetic stumble, all of these verbal textures create a complete comic world. Ebsen's quieter interjections provide the necessary counterpoint, grounding the extravagance in the everyday reality of family conversation. The result is dialogue that feels both heightened and completely natural within the established idiom of the show. The broader theme of generational responsibility emerges clearly in these sequences. Granny considers it her duty to see Ellie Mae settled. Jed has attempted to fulfill that duty through the more modern channel of Mr. Drysdale's connections. When those attempts fail, Granny reverts to the methods she trusts. The family's wealth has not erased the older patterns of obligation. If anything, the new circumstances have made the fulfillment of those obligations more complicated, and therefore more urgent in Granny's eyes. The love conjure becomes a way of asserting continuity with the past in the midst of radical change. The risk that the smoke will affect the wrong person is stated plainly and then left to develop. Jethro's question about the danger is answered with the acceptance of uncertainty. The chance must be taken. That acceptance sets the stage for the later complications involving Miss Jane and the professional escort, yet even within the confines of the brewing scenes the thematic groundwork is fully laid. Actions driven by pure intention can produce entirely unintended consequences when they are released into a complex social environment. The series returns to that insight again and again, always with affection and never with simple moralizing. Max Baer Jr.'s Jethro, though primarily an assistant in these scenes, remains consistent with the character established in the earlier athletic and romantic sequences. His willingness to split the wood and tend the fire, his mild alarm at the possible range of the smoke, and his automatic obedience to Granny's instructions all reflect the same large-hearted, slightly bewildered loyalty that defines him. The young man who loves deep when he loves at all is equally capable of deep family allegiance. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae is present more as the object of concern than as an active participant, yet her established character informs every reference to her. The audience knows her independence, her strength, her affection for the creatures she cares for. The idea that she requires a magical intervention to secure a husband sits in gentle comic tension with that knowledge. The series never resolves the tension by forcing her into a conventional pairing, Instead, it allows the family's concern to exist alongside her own nature, creating a richer and more humane portrait than a simpler plot resolution would have permitted. The historical moment of the mid-1960s supplies additional context. American culture was beginning to question traditional timelines for marriage and traditional roles for women, yet those questions had not yet fully penetrated every corner of the society. Granny's standards belong to an older consensus. The comedy of the conjure sequences arises in part from the collision between that consensus and the newer, more fluid arrangements of Beverly Hills life. The show does not take a simple side in the collision. It simply presents the collision with clarity and warmth, allowing the audience to recognize both the limitations and the genuine care involved. In the final analysis, the brewing of the love conjure stands as one of the composite narrative's most richly developed explorations of family loyalty, cultural continuity, and the comic possibilities of folk belief in a modern setting. Through careful attention to ritual detail, character motivation, verbal texture, and thematic implication, the sequences advance the larger story while also deepening the audience's understanding of Granny as a force of nature guided by an older but still vital set of values. Irene Ryan's performance anchors the material with energy, conviction, and precise comic timing. The surrounding ensemble supports her work with the seamless coordination that marked the series at its best. The result is comedy that entertains while also affirming the enduring power of care. However imperfectly or extravagantly that care may be expressed, the Beverly Hillbillies never needed to lecture its audience about the importance of family. It simply showed a family continuing to act on that importance according to the lights it had, and in the smoke of Granny's love conjure those lights shine with particular clarity and warmth. The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies shifts its focus from the ancestral magic of Granny's love conjure to the distinctly modern and thoroughly commercial solution devised by Mr. Milburn Drysdale. Faced with Jed Clampetts' repeated inquiries about securing a suitable young man for Ellie Mae and unwilling to risk any disturbance to the vast Clampett fortune deposited in his bank, Drysdale turns to the Beverly escort service. The decision produces one of the series' most sustained and richly layered explorations of the collision between rural family obligation and urban professional arrangement. Raymond Bailey's performance as the banker reaches a particular peak of comic self-importance and barely concealed anxiety in these sequences, while Nancy Culp's Miss Jane Hathaway supplies the indispensable voice of startled propriety and reluctant cooperation. The introduction of the escort occurs with characteristic efficiency. A young man appears in Drysdale's office claiming to represent the Beverly Escort Service. Drysdale, addressing his secretary with the familiar chief that always signaled his sense of hierarchical command, instructs her to bring the visitor in. Miss Hathaway's immediate reaction to the arrangement is one of pure shock. She recognizes the transaction for what it is, and names it without euphemism. Drysdale has hired a professional escort, a gigolo. The banker's response is instantaneous and defensive. She is not to use that word. The young man is a professional companion, a bonded employee of a reputable firm, which means crucially that he will not be after the Clampett money. The distinction is purely commercial. Drysdale's concern is not with the moral implications of the arrangement but with the financial safety of the fortune he manages. Bailey's delivery of these lines would have balanced bluster with a certain desperate sincerity, revealing the character's perpetual calculation even in matters of the heart. The escort himself, Dean Peters, is presented with a layer of unexpected complexity. When introduced to Miss Hathaway, he responds with polished courtesy and an immediate literary flourish. He is studying for a doctorate in literature at the University of California, Los Angeles. The escort work, he explains, pays well, the hours are his own, and he meets the most fascinating people. He quotes Tennyson, "I am a part of all that I have met," and later Homer, describing discourse as the sweeter banquet of the mind. The script's decision to make the hired companion a serious student of literature adds a quiet satiric edge. The professional service that Drysdale regards as a simple commercial transaction is for the young man who performs it a means of supporting a life of intellectual pursuit. The contrast between the banker's purely instrumental view and the escort's more reflective self-understanding creates a comic tension that the sequences develop with care. The formal agreement is drawn up with bureaucratic thoroughness. Miss Hathaway is required to witness the document. The contract calls for the escort's exclusive services to Ellie Mae Clampett. He is to fill her days with fun and her evenings with excitement. Drysdale's language is that of a man commissioning a service rather than arranging a human relationship. The young woman whose future is being negotiated is reduced to the object of a professional assignment. The series' gentle satire of such reductions is never cruel, yet it is consistent. The Clampetts treat marriage and companionship as matters of personal loyalty and family care. Drysdale treats them as problems to be solved by the appropriate expenditure of money. The dancing test that follows is pure physical and social comedy. Drysdale instructs Miss Hathaway to judge the escort's abilities on the floor. She protests. He insists. The resulting dance is described with the script's characteristic economy of suggestion, yet the implications are clear. Miss Hathaway, tall, reserved and deeply proper, is compelled to evaluate the professional competence of a hired companion by dancing with him in the banker's office. Culp's performance would have made the character's discomfort visible in every rigid line of her posture and every carefully measured word of her eventual judgment that the dancing is quite adequate. The moment is funny because it exposes the awkwardness of applying commercial standards to activities that ordinary social life leaves unmeasured. It is also oddly touching because Miss Hathaway's reluctance stems from a genuine sense of personal dignity that the transaction casually overrides. Drysdale's further requirements expand the professional portfolio. The escort must know how to play tennis and golf and ride horseback. The list of expected accomplishments reflects the banker's vision of the proper companion for a young woman of wealth, someone who can navigate the recreational rituals of the upper middle class. The Clampetts themselves have little interest in such rituals. Ellie Mae's pleasures are those of the outdoors, the animals she cares for, and the straightforward company of her family. The gap between Drysdale's conception of suitable entertainment and Ellie Mae's actual nature is left for the later sequences to exploit, yet it is already fully established in the terms of the contract. Plan A is announced with the full force of Drysdale's self-congratulatory rhetoric. It is a course of action so brilliantly conceived, so carefully thought out, so absolutely foolproof that the Clampetts will never suspect the young man is a paid escort. The language is pure Drysdale, expansive, confident and entirely focused on the concealment of the commercial arrangement. Miss Hathaway is ordered to invent the convincing story that will allow the escort to appear at the Clampett mansion without raising questions. When she and the young man prove slow to produce the required narrative, Drysdale's impatience erupts. He is paying both of them by the hour. They are to return at once or face Plan B. Plan B, he explains with the bluntness of a man accustomed to absolute authority within his small domain, is that both of them will be fired. The threat is comic in its extremity, yet it reveals the banker's fundamental view of human relationships as matters of employment and control. The literary conversation that briefly flourishes between Miss Hathaway and the escort while they delay in the coffee shop next door, supplies a quiet counterpoint to Drysdale's commercial urgency. The young man quotes Tennyson and Homer. Miss Hathaway, herself a woman of education and refinement, responds to the intellectual register even as she remains trapped within the banker's practical demands. The script allows this brief space of shared literary reference to exist without forcing it into the main plot. It simply acknowledges that the professional arrangement has brought together two people who might under different circumstances have found common ground in something other than a paid assignment. The moment passes, yet its presence enriches the texture of the sequences. Jed Clampett's concurrent visit to the bank provides the necessary link to the family's own concerns. He arrives seeking further help with the problem of Ellie Mae's future and finds Drysdale in the midst of the escort arrangements. The banker's attempt to hide the young man in a closet, the subsequent confusion over a damaged coat, and the rapid improvisation of excuses all generate physical and verbal comedy of a high order. Ebsen's Jed remains calmly persistent. He has come about a fellow for Ellie Mae. He will not be diverted. Drysdale's assurances that something is already cooking and that there is a certain magic in the air today are delivered with the oily confidence of a man who believes he has already solved the problem by professional means. The audience, knowing both the conjure and the escort, is positioned to appreciate the full irony of the banker's confidence. The thematic contrast between the two solutions, Granny's ancestral conjure and Drysdale's hired companion, stands at the center of these sequences. One arises from family loyalty and traditional knowledge, the other arises from commercial calculation and professional specialization. The series does not declare a simple winner, it simply places the two approaches in parallel, and allows their respective consequences to unfold. The escort is presented as competent, educated, and willing. The conjure is presented as powerful, unpredictable, and rooted in genuine care. Both will produce complications. Both will ultimately serve the larger comic exploration of what it means to arrange a human future by means that treat the person involved as an object of planning rather than as a full participant. Nancy Culp's Miss Hathaway remains the moral and emotional center of the banker's office sequences. Her shock at the gigolo designation, her reluctant participation in the dancing test, her literary exchange with the escort, and her weary endurance of Drysdale's threats all reflect a character who possesses a clear sense of personal standards even while remaining economically dependent on the banker's employment. Culp's performance always made that tension visible without ever tipping into self-pity. Miss Hathaway is competent, intelligent, and frequently appalled, yet she continues to function within the system that so often offends her sense of propriety. The escort sequences allow that complexity to emerge with particular clarity. The historical context of professional escort services in the mid-1960s supplies additional resonance. Such services existed in major cities as part of a larger economy of paid companionship that ranged from the relatively respectable to the frankly transactional. Drysdale's insistence on the bonded and reputable nature of the firm he has engaged reflects a desire to keep the arrangement within the bounds of middle-class respectability. The script's decision to make the escort a doctoral student in literature further softens the commercial edge while simultaneously sharpening the satire. The young man is not a figure of pure exploitation, he is a person making a living in a way that allows him to continue his studies. The arrangement is still commercial. The human cost is still present. The comedy arises from the banker's complete blindness to any dimension of the transaction beyond its usefulness to himself. Max Baer Jr.'s Jethro and Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae remain largely off-stage during the banker's arrangements, yet their established characters inform every reference to the purpose of the contract. The audience knows Ellie Mae's independence and her lack of interest in the recreational rituals Drysdale considers essential. The audience knows Jethro's large-hearted loyalty and his own recent romantic disasters. The professional solution is being prepared for a young woman who has not asked for it and who will meet it according to her own nature. The gap between the plan and the person is left to develop in the subsequent sequences, yet it is already fully implicit in the terms of the agreement. The physical comedy of the office sequences, the dancing test, the attempt to hide the escort in the closet, the damaged coat, the rapid improvisations would have been staged with the precise timing the series directors and performers had perfected. Bailey's bluster, Culp's rigidity, the escort's polished courtesy, and Ebson's calm persistence create a complete comic ensemble. Every character operates according to a clear and consistent set of motives. The resulting collisions produce laughter that remains rooted in human recognition rather than in arbitrary invention. In the final analysis, the escort service sequences stand as a richly detailed examination of the commercial approach to human problems and of the comic limitations inherent in that approach. Through careful attention to contractual language, character reaction, literary counterpoint, and thematic contrast with Granny's concurrent magical efforts, the script advances the composite narrative while also deepening the audience's understanding of Mr. Drysdale as a man whose every action is filtered through the lens of financial self-interest. Raymond Bailey's performance anchors the material with a perfect blend of authority and anxiety. Nancy Culp's Miss Hathaway supplies the indispensable voice of startled integrity. The surrounding details of Plan A, the dancing test, and the threatened Plan B create a complete comic world in which the attempt to solve a family matter by professional means is revealed in all its ingenious and ultimately fragile complexity. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to lecture its audience about the difference between commercial arrangement and genuine care. It simply placed the two side by side and allowed the resulting complications to speak for themselves. And in the carefully contracted services of the Beverly Escort Service, those complications begin to gather their full and affectionate force. The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies reaches a moment of pure magical and social chaos when the smoke from Granny's carefully prepared love conjure drifts across Beverly Hills and settles upon an entirely unintended recipient. The risk had been stated plainly during the brewing. Jethro had asked whether it was wise to send the smoke all over town when there was no telling whom it might affect. Granny had accepted the uncertainty as the necessary price of action. Now that price comes due with comic consequences that the script develops through a series of exquisitely timed misunderstandings, mistaken identities and colliding intentions. Irene Ryan's Granny, having spent 3 days on the conjure and having chanted the spell with full conviction, stands at the center of the resulting disorder while the professional escort Dean Peters, hired by Mr. Drysdale for an entirely different purpose, finds himself drawn to the Clampett mansion by a force he can neither explain nor resist. The arrival of the young man is staged with the precise blend of the mystical and the mundane that characterized the series' treatment of folk magic. He appears at the door and announces that he was drawn to the house by a strange force he could not resist. Granny, still glowing with the success of her ritual, receives him as the direct and gratifying result of her work. She does not question the mechanism. She simply welcomes the evidence that the old mountain knowledge continues to function even in the alien environment of Beverly Hills. When the young man inquires whether she might be Ellie Mae, Granny corrects him with brisk practicality. She is the grandmother. Ellie Mae is the sweet young thing waiting upstairs right in her prime. The audience, knowing both the conjure's intended target and the escort's professional assignment, is positioned to appreciate the full irony of the moment. 2 separate plans, one magical and one commercial, have converged upon the same doorway and neither participant understands the convergence. The subsequent presentation of Ellie Mae is handled with a comic logic that belongs entirely to Granny's worldview. She calls for the girl to leave her dolls and come downstairs. When the escort registers surprise at the mention of dolls, Granny explains that Ellie Mae is a sweet young thing right in her prime. Pressed for an age, she invites him to guess and then supplies the range herself: 12, 13, 14, that is close enough. The doll and the lollipop are to be surrendered. The girl is old enough for fellows now. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae, required to curtsy and to play along with the fiction, embodies the gentle tension between her actual independence and the role Granny has assigned her. The audience knows Ellie Mae as a strong, outdoor-loving young woman far beyond the childhood Granny insists upon. The insistence itself becomes both funny and oddly touching, a measure of the older woman's determination to see her granddaughter settled according to the only timeline she considers valid. Jed Clampett's entrance into the scene supplies the necessary note of quiet alarm. When he looks into the parlor and sees the young man with the girl he knows to be his fully grown daughter, his reaction is one of immediate concern. The smoke, he realizes, has done its work, but it has not done the work Granny intended. The possibility that the conjure has affected Miss Jane rather than Ellie Mae begins to take shape in the family's understanding, although the full implications remain to be explored. Buddy Ebsen's performance would have balanced the character's customary calm with a growing awareness that the old mountain methods released into the complex social atmosphere of Beverly Hills have produced results no one can fully control. The professional escort's own experience of the afternoon is rendered with a mixture of polite bewilderment and mounting distress. He has come prepared to fulfill a contracted assignment with a young woman of wealth. He finds himself instead engaged in hopscotch, skipping rope and toasting marshmallows with a girl who is being presented to him as a child. The telephone call he makes to Mr. Drysdale from the Clampett house is a masterpiece of comic desperation. He reports that he does not need an escort for Ellie Mae. He needs a babysitter. All she wants to do is play children's games. Drysdale's response is pure banter. He is not paying the young man to entertain the girl, according to her preferences. He is paying him to fulfill the contract, and if that requires playing hide and seek, then hide and seek it will be. The exchange exposes the complete instrumentalism of Drysdale's approach. The human being on the other end of the arrangement is expected to adapt without complaint to whatever conditions the assignment produces. Granny's gradual recognition that the conjure may have gone astray produces some of the sequence's most effective comedy. When she learns that Miss Jane has acquired a fellow, her first reaction is defensive. She was not conjuring for Miss Jane. She was conjuring for her own old maid granddaughter. The possibility that the smoke has done its work upon the wrong woman is both a professional embarrassment and a practical problem. The family now faces the prospect of having secured a companion for the banker's secretary while leaving Ellie Mae's situation unchanged. The old mountain knowledge has functioned, yet it has functioned according to its own mysterious logic rather than according to Granny's specific intention. The thematic richness of the misfire lies in its gentle exposure of the limits of control. Granny's conjure was prepared with care, chanted with conviction, and released with a clear purpose. The smoke once on the wind followed paths no one could predict. Drysdale's escort was hired with contractual precision, instructed in the required accomplishments, and dispatched with a foolproof plan A. The young man once drawn into the Clampett orbit found himself playing children's games. Both the magical and the commercial solutions have encountered the same fundamental difficulty: human beings and social situations are not as manageable as the planners assume. The series returns to that insight repeatedly, always with affection and never with simple cynicism. Irene Ryan's performance in these scenes balances triumphant confidence with growing consternation. The early moments of welcoming the conjured young man are played with the full force of her belief in the method. The later moments of realizing the possible misdirection are played with the sharp practical energy that always characterized Granny when plans went sideways. The continuity of the character remains absolute. She does not abandon the old knowledge. She simply begins to consider the necessity of an antidote. Nancy Culp's Miss Hathaway, though not physically present in the Clampett parlor during the initial arrival, remains a central figure in the larger pattern of complication. The audience knows that she has been the reluctant witness to the escort contract and the equally reluctant participant in the dancing test. The possibility that the conjure has affected her introduces a new layer of irony. The woman who regarded the professional arrangement with such clear-eyed disapproval may now find herself emotionally entangled with the very young man hired to serve another purpose. The script does not force the development prematurely. It simply allows the possibility to exist as one more thread in the thickening comic weave. The physical comedy of the parlor scenes, the curtsy, the surrender of the doll and lollipop, the enforced childish games would have been staged with the precise timing the series directors and performers had perfected. Douglas's Ellie Mae, required to inhabit a role far younger than her actual nature, brings a game willingness to the assignment that makes the absurdity both funnier and more humane. The escort's polite endurance of hopscotch and skipping rope creates a visual contrast between professional composure and increasingly undignified circumstances. The resulting laughter remains rooted in the recognition of good people caught in situations none of them fully understands. Jed's quiet attempts to assess the damage and to consider possible remedies reflect the character's steady moral center. He does not blame Granny, he does not mock the conjure. He simply recognizes that the family now faces a new set of complications and that those complications will have to be addressed with the same practical patience he brings to every crisis. Ebsen's ability to convey that patience without ever seeming passive or detached was one of the great strengths of his performance. Jed remains present and responsible even when the forces at work are beyond ordinary understanding. The historical and cultural context of the mid-1960s adds further resonance. American popular culture of the period retained a lively interest in the comic possibilities of magic, superstition, and folk belief, yet it rarely treated those beliefs as anything more than quaint survivals. The Beverly Hillbillies, by contrast, allowed Granny's conjure to function with genuine power inside the narrative. The smoke does bring a young man to the door. The difficulty is not that the magic fails, but that it succeeds according to its own logic. The series' willingness to grant the old knowledge that degree of effectiveness distinguishes it from more simply skeptical treatments of the same material and deepens the affection with which Granny's efforts are portrayed. The convergence of the conjure and the escort service upon the same young man creates a perfect storm of crossed purposes. Drysdale believes he has solved the Ellie Mae problem by professional means. Granny believes she has solved it by ancestral means. The young man himself believes he is fulfilling a contracted assignment. Ellie Mae is asked to play a role that does not fit her. Miss Hathaway remains unaware that she may be the actual target of the smoke. The audience, holding all of these threads, is invited to enjoy the looming collisions without ever losing sympathy for the characters involved. In the final analysis, the sequences surrounding the misfired conjure stand as a richly detailed exploration of intention, accident, and the comic limits of human planning. Through careful attention to the arrival of the drawn young man, the presentation of Ellie Mae as a child in her prime, the escort's mounting distress, and the family's gradual recognition that the smoke has followed its own path, the script advances the composite narrative while also deepening the thematic contrast between magical and commercial solutions. Irene Ryan's Granny anchors the material with conviction, energy, and precise comic timing. The surrounding ensemble supports her work with the seamless coordination that marked the series at its best. The result is comedy that entertains while also affirming the enduring power of care, however imperfectly or unpredictably that care may express itself. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to declare that human beings are not easily managed by either spells or contracts. It simply allowed both forms of management to encounter the living reality of the Clampett household, and in The Smoke on the Wind those encounters begin to reveal their full and affectionate complexity. The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies settles for a time upon the increasingly undignified ordeal of the professional escort Dean Peters, as he attempts to fulfill his contracted duties. Inside the Clampett household, what Mr. Drysdale had envisioned as a carefully managed assignment filled with tennis, golf, horseback riding, and sophisticated evening entertainment has become, under the influence of Granny's misfired conjure and the family's own peculiar logic, an afternoon of hopscotch, skipping rope, toasting marshmallows, and other pursuits more appropriate to a child than to a young woman of Ellie Mae's actual years. The sequences that develop from this situation are among the most sustained and gently merciless examinations of professional composure under pressure that the series ever produced. The escort's polite endurance, Ellie Mae's game participation in the role assigned to her, Jed's quiet assessment of the young man's suitability, and Granny's growing determination to correct the magical misdirection together create a complete comic world in which every character's motives remain clear, and every collision remains rooted in human recognition. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae stands at the center of the ordeal with the same open-hearted willingness that always defined the character. Required by Granny to leave her dolls, surrender her lollipop curtsy, and present herself as a sweet young thing right in her prime, she accepts the assignment without protest and proceeds to entertain her visitor, according to the only logic the situation seems to allow. Hopscotch is proposed. Skipping rope follows. Marshmallows are toasted. The escort, who had arrived prepared to discuss literature and to demonstrate his proficiency in the recreational rituals of the upper middle class, finds himself instead engaged in the pastimes of childhood. Douglas's performance would have balanced the character's natural vitality with a certain deadpan cooperation that made the absurdity both funnier and more humane. Ellie Mae is not mocking the young man, she is simply meeting the circumstances as they have been presented to her, and her straightforward acceptance of those circumstances becomes itself a source of comedy. The escort's telephone call to Mr. Drysdale from the Clampett house remains one of the sequence's comic peaks. His voice when he finally reaches the banker carries the strained politeness of a man who has exhausted every professional resource. He does not need an escort for Ellie Mae, he reports. He needs a babysitter. All she wants to do is toast marshmallows and skip rope. He does not care if she wants to play jacks. Drysdale's response is pure commercial instrumentalism. He is not paying the young man to entertain the girl according to her own preferences. He is paying him to fulfill the contract, and if the fulfillment requires hide and seek, then hide and seek it will be. The exchange exposes the complete absence of flexibility in the banker's approach. The human being on the receiving end of the arrangement is expected to adapt without complaint to whatever conditions the assignment produces. Raymond Bailey's delivery of the banker's side of the conversation would have balanced bluster with a certain desperate insistence on control, revealing once again the character's fundamental view of people as resources to be managed. Jed Clampett's intervention in the parlor supplies a quieter and more probing form of assessment. He asks the young man what he thinks of his daughter, Ellie. The escort, still struggling to maintain professional composure, replies that she is a wonderful girl, lots of fun, a million laughs. Jed presses further, is she not too young? The escort, trapped inside the fiction Granny has constructed, assures him that she is right in her prime. The conversation continues with Jed inquiring whether the young man likes Ellie better than Miss Jane. The question coming from the calm center of the family carries a weight the escort cannot fully interpret. Buddy Ebsen's performance would have made the inquiry both gentle and relentless, the questions of a father who is trying to understand the situation without yet knowing how completely the magical and commercial plans have entangled themselves. Granny's recognition that the conjure has affected the wrong person produces a new determination to set matters right. She is not brewing another batch of the love conjure. She is working on an antidote. The most powerful conjure requires the most powerful conjure buster, and she is prepared to supply it. The comparison she offers that using ordinary letting go powder on this particular spell would be like hunting bear with a fly swatter captures both her respect for the force she has unleashed and her practical confidence that a fitted remedy can be found. Irene Ryan's performance in these moments balances consternation with energetic problem solving. Granny does not abandon the old knowledge. She simply adjusts her methods to meet the unexpected results those methods have produced. The physical comedy of the children's games themselves would have been staged with the precise timing the series directors and performers had perfected over many seasons. The image of the polished literature-quoting escort engaged in hopscotch with Ellie Mae creates a visual contrast that requires no additional comment. His attempts to maintain dignity while hopping through the chalked squares, his polite endurance of skipping rope, and his eventual collapse into the weary acceptance of whatever comes next, all generate laughter rooted in the recognition of a good man caught in circumstances beyond his professional training. The series never treats him as a figure of pure ridicule. His distress is real. His efforts to fulfill the contract are sincere. The comedy arises from the gap between the assignment he accepted and the reality he encountered once the smoke of the conjure had done its work. The thematic richness of the ordeal lies in its gentle exposure of the limits of both magical and commercial planning. Granny's conjure was intended to secure a husband for Ellie Mae. Drysdale's contract was intended to supply a suitable companion for the same young woman. Both plans have produced a young man who is now playing children's games in the Clampetts parlor. Ellie Mae herself has been asked to inhabit a role that does not fit her actual nature. The escort has been asked to adapt to conditions no contract could have anticipated. The family is left to manage the resulting confusion with the same practical patience it brings to every crisis. The series does not declare a winner between the old mountain methods and the new professional services. It simply allows both to encounter the living reality of the household and to reveal their respective limitations through that encounter. Miss Jane Hathaway's position in the larger pattern of complication remains a source of quiet irony. The audience knows that she was the reluctant witness to the escort contract and the equally reluctant participant in the dancing test. The possibility that the conjure's smoke has affected her introduces a further layer of crossed purposes. The woman who regarded the commercial arrangement with such clear-eyed disapproval may now find herself emotionally drawn to the very young man hired for another purpose. The script does not force the development into the immediate parlor scenes. It simply allows the possibility to exist as one more thread in the thickening weave of misunderstanding. Jed's continued assessment of the young man reflects the character's steady moral center. He does not mock the escort's predicament. He does not blame Granny for the magical misdirection. He simply asks the questions that need to be asked and listens to the answers with the same calm attention he brings to every family matter. Ebsen's ability to convey that attention without ever seeming passive or detached was one of the great strengths of his performance. Jed remains responsible even when the forces at work are beyond ordinary understanding. The historical context of the mid-1960s adds further resonance. Professional escort services existed as part of a larger urban economy of paid companionship. Folk beliefs in charms and conjures persisted in many rural communities. The series' decision to allow both the commercial and the magical solutions to function inside the same narrative and to allow both to produce unexpected results creates a comic texture that is richer than a simpler satire of either approach would have permitted. The escort is not a villain. Granny is not a fool. Ellie Mae is not a passive object. Each character operates according to a clear set of motives, and the collisions among those motives generate the comedy. Max Baer Jr.'s Jethro remains largely peripheral to the immediate parlor ordeal, yet his established character informs the family's collective response. The young man who only recently was preparing to drown himself for love is part of the same household that is now attempting to manage the consequences of a misfired conjure. The continuity of large-hearted loyalty across these different romantic emergencies reinforces the sense of the Clampetts as a genuine unit rather than a collection of separate comic types. The physical details of the afternoon, the chalked hopscotch squares, the turning rope, the toasted marshmallows, the polite conversation that struggles to maintain adult dignity in the midst of childhood pursuits create a complete sensory world. The audience can see the escort's carefully maintained posture beginning to wilt. The audience can see Ellie Mae's cheerful cooperation with the role she has been assigned. The audience can see Jed's quiet observation and Granny's energetic determination to prepare an antidote. Every element is developed with care. Every contradiction is allowed to stand without forced resolution. In the final analysis, the sequences surrounding the escort's ordeal in the Clampett parlor stand as a richly detailed exploration of professional composure under impossible conditions and of the comic limits of both magical and commercial planning. Through careful attention to the children's games, the desperate telephone call, Jed's probing questions, and Granny's decision to brew an antidote, the script advances the composite narrative while also deepening the audience's affection for every character involved. Donna Douglas's Ellie Mae anchors the material with open-hearted vitality. The escort's polite endurance supplies the necessary counterpoint of strained professionalism. The surrounding ensemble supports the central action with the seamless coordination that marked the series at its best. The result is comedy that entertains while also affirming the enduring difficulty of arranging human futures by means that treat the people involved as objects of planning rather than as full participants. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to declare that contracts and conjures alike can go astray when they encounter living reality. It simply allowed both to encounter the Clampett household, and in the hopscotch squares and toasted marshmallows of one long afternoon, those encounters reveal their full and affectionate complexity. The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies turns next to one of its most elaborately awkward and strangely tender solutions when the family determines that the only way to undo the effects of Granny's misfired love conjure is to have Jethro Bodine court Miss Jane Hathaway. The decision arises from a chain of practical reasoning that belongs entirely to the Clampett worldview. The conjure has drawn a young man to the household, yet the young man has attached himself to the wrong woman. Ellie Mae remains unsettled. Miss Jane has acquired an unexpected beau. The most powerful conjure requires the most powerful antidote, and until that antidote can be prepared and administered, someone must occupy Miss Jane's attention so that the magical entanglement may be loosened. Jethro, whose own romantic career has already encompassed football uniforms, hockey gear, and a near drowning in the cement pond, is pressed into service once again. The resulting sequences are among the most sustained examinations of forced gallantry and reluctant cooperation that the series ever produced. Max Baer Jr.'s Jethro approaches the assignment with the same large-hearted willingness he has brought to every previous family emergency. He does not understand the full magical logic of the situation. He understands only that Uncle Jed has told him to court Miss Jane, and that the courting is necessary because Granny's conjure has gone astray. The young man who only recently was preparing to sink beneath a half-ton of scrap iron for the sake of Linda Curry now finds himself standing outside Miss Jane's presence with flowers and candy, preparing to declare an affection he does not feel. The continuity of his obedience even when the romantic object has changed so completely reinforces the sense of the Clampetts as a genuine unit rather than a collection of separate comic types. Baer's performance would have made the transition from genuine despair to assigned gallantry fully visible, allowing the audience to laugh at the extremity of the shift while still recognizing the loyalty that makes it possible. The actual declaration when it comes is a masterpiece of awkward sincerity. Jethro announces that he loves Miss Jane, that she is prettier than the flowers and sweeter than the candy, and that he cannot eat or sleep without her. The last claim is immediately qualified by the practical observation that Granny will not feed him or make his bed, a detail that undercuts the romantic rhetoric with the everyday reality of family discipline. He then launches into a rendition of You Are My Sunshine, a song he has learned only half an hour earlier and whose lyrics he proceeds to mangle with cheerful confidence. The performance is interrupted by Miss Jane's mounting alarm and by the arrival of other members of the household, yet Jethro continues until he is finally stopped. The sequence is pure physical and vocal comedy, yet it is grounded in the character's fundamental good nature. He has been told to court the woman. He is courting her with every resource he possesses. Nancy Culp's Miss Jane Hathaway receives this sudden and unwelcome attention with the rigid composure that always defined the character under pressure. She has already endured the dancing test in Mr. Drysdale's office, the contractual negotiations, and the growing suspicion that the professional escort has become entangled with the Clampett household in ways no one anticipated. Now she finds herself the object of Jethro's assigned affections, complete with flowers, candy, and a half-learned popular song. Culp's performance would have made the character's discomfort visible in every carefully controlled reaction, every measured protest, and every attempt to restore order to a situation that has long since escaped ordinary social management. The comedy arises from the collision between her sense of propriety and the Clampetts' straightforward determination to solve the magical problem by the most direct means available. Granny's concurrent work on the antidote supplies the practical counterpoint to Jethro's romantic performance. She is not brewing another batch of the love conjure. She is preparing the strongest conjure buster she knows. The earlier comparison that ordinary letting go powder would be like hunting bear with a fly swatter remains in force. The most powerful spell requires the most powerful remedy, and Granny is prepared to supply it. Irene Ryan's performance in these scenes balances scientific seriousness with the sharp practical energy that always characterized the character when plans required adjustment. She does not abandon the old knowledge, she simply adapts it to meet the unexpected results that knowledge has produced. The continuity of her confidence, even in the midst of misdirection and correction, remains absolute. The revelation that finally clears the air is handled with the script's characteristic blend of bluntness and unexpected kindness. The escort, having endured hopscotch, skipping rope, and the full weight of the family's magical and commercial complications, is prepared for a shock. Granny and Jed arrange for Ellie Mae to appear as she actually is, an adult young woman rather than the child in her prime that the earlier fiction required. The escort's relief is immediate and profound. No man, he is told, wants a woman that far over the hill, yet the tone of the disclosure is not cruel. It is simply practical. The fiction has served its purpose. The time has come to end it. The young man's departure is arranged with a mixture of professional courtesy and personal exhaustion. He has fulfilled the contract as best he could under conditions no contract could have anticipated. He is free to go. Jed Clampett's role in these sequences remains that of the calm moral center. He has instructed Jethro to court Miss Jane. He has supported Granny's work on the antidote. He has overseen the final disclosure that releases the escort from the false premise of Ellie Mae's extreme youth. Throughout, Buddy Ebsen's performance would have conveyed the same patient responsibility that defined the character across the entire series. Jed does not enjoy the complications. He simply addresses them with the practical wisdom he has always brought to the family's affairs. The continuity of that wisdom, even when the affairs involve misfired conjures and forced courtships, reinforces the sense of the Clampetts as a household guided by steady care rather than by impulse or calculation. The thematic richness of the forced courtship lies in its gentle exposure of the difference between assigned affection and genuine feeling. Jethro performs the rituals of courtship with complete sincerity of effort, yet the emotion itself is borrowed. Miss Jane receives the rituals with complete clarity of understanding, yet the situation itself is not of her making. The escort is released from a fiction he never requested. Ellie Mae is restored to her actual age and status. Granny completes the antidote that will, she believes, set the magical record straight. Every character is acting according to a clear set of motives. The collisions among those motives generate the comedy, yet the comedy never denies the reality of the care that underlies the entire elaborate arrangement. The physical comedy of Jethro's serenade would have been staged with the precise timing the series directors and performers had perfected. The large young man standing with flowers and candy, launching into a half-learned song, continuing through interruptions and finally accepting the order to stop, creates a sequence of visual and vocal gags that remain rooted in character. Bear's ability to play absolute commitment without ever tipping into pure caricature was essential to the success of such moments. The audience laughs at the awkwardness while still recognizing the loyalty that makes the awkwardness possible. Miss Jane's reactions supply the necessary counterpoint of rigid propriety. Her attempts to halt the serenade, her alarm at the sudden declaration of affection, and her eventual weary acceptance that the situation must be endured until the family has completed its corrective measures all reflect a character who possesses a clear sense of personal standards even while remaining trapped inside circumstances she cannot control. Culp's performance always made that tension visible without ever allowing the character to become merely passive or pitiful. Miss Jane continues to function with dignity even when dignity is under sustained comic assault. The historical context of the mid-1960s adds further resonance. Popular songs such as You Are My Sunshine belonged to a shared cultural repertoire that crossed regional and class lines. Jethro's half-learned rendition of the song places the Clampetts inside that shared culture, while simultaneously revealing the limits of their formal preparation for its rituals. The series' willingness to allow the family to inhabit those rituals imperfectly, and to find comedy in the imperfection without ever mocking the underlying good intention remains one of its most enduring strengths. Granny's antidote work proceeds in parallel with the forced courtship, creating a double structure of magical and social correction. The conjure has produced an attachment that must be loosened. The courtship is intended to occupy Miss Jane's attention while the loosening occurs. The final disclosure of Ellie Mae's actual age completes the process of restoring ordinary reality. The script does not insist that the antidote has functioned in any empirically verifiable way. It simply allows the family to believe that the necessary corrections have been made, and it allows the audience to enjoy the restoration of a more manageable set of relationships. In the final analysis, the sequences surrounding Jethro's forced courtship of Miss Jane and Granny's preparation of the antidote stand as a richly detailed exploration of loyalty, awkward sincerity, and the comic limits of both magical and social engineering. Through careful attention to the serenade, the reluctant reception, the antidote brewing, and the final disclosure that releases the escort, the script advances the composite narrative while also deepening the audience's affection for every character involved. Max Bear Jr.'s Jethro anchors the material with large-hearted commitment. Nancy Culp's Miss Jane supplies the indispensable voice of startled propriety. Irene Ryan's Granny continues the work of magical correction with undiminished energy. Buddy Ebsen's Jed oversees the entire elaborate arrangement with steady care. The result is comedy that entertains while also affirming the enduring power of family loyalty, however imperfectly or extravagantly that loyalty may express itself. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to declare that affection cannot be successfully assigned by decree. It simply allowed the assignment to proceed and to reveal its own limitations through the living reactions of the people involved. And in the half-learned verses of You Are My Sunshine, those limitations begin to reveal their full and affectionate complexity. The composite narrative of these classic Season 4 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies opens an entirely new chapter of culture clash comedy with the arrival of the new neighbors and the immediate, almost inevitable case of mistaken identity that follows. The Clampetts, true to the hospitality that has always defined them, prepare to welcome the newcomers with the same open-handed friendliness they have extended to every previous arrival in Beverly Hills. What they cannot know is that the woman who steps from the large limousine and approaches the back door of the mansion is not the wealthy widow Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III, but her tough, sharp-tongued housekeeper and maid Aggie. The misunderstanding that blooms from this single error of identification will drive the remainder of the composite narrative, producing some of the series' most sustained and affectionate examinations of class assumption, rural generosity, and urban pretension. Irene Ryan's Granny, Buddy Ebsen's Jed, and the rest of the household meet the newcomer with the straightforward courtesy of people who judge others by their manners rather than by their bank accounts. And the resulting comedy is both broad and richly detailed. The first glimpse of the new neighbors is rendered through the eyes of the Clampetts themselves. A big limousine pulls around to the back of the house. The woman who emerges is headed for the servants' entrance rather than the front door. Granny's immediate reaction is one of defensive suspicion. She has had enough of snooty Beverly Hills people. Jed, ever the calmer presence, suggests that they do not yet know the newcomers and therefore cannot judge them. The exchange captures the family's ongoing negotiation with their environment. Granny's instinct is to protect the household from further condescension. Jed's instinct is to extend the benefit of the doubt until evidence proves otherwise. Both instincts are rooted in the same fundamental loyalty to the family's dignity. The woman herself, Aggie, arrives in a state of practical exasperation. Her feet are killing her. She has only one day to prepare the house for Mrs. Carrington. The chauffeur, Reginald, has refused to take her to the servants' entrance, insisting on a protocol she finds ridiculous. Their bickering, overheard in fragments by the Clampetts, establishes Aggie as a woman of sharp tongue and no patience for empty formality. When she finally knocks and asks to use the telephone because the phone in the new house is not yet connected, the Clampetts receive her with the automatic hospitality that has always marked their encounters with strangers. Jed introduces the family. Granny offers food. The woman, who gives her name as Aggie and asks them to call her, that accepts the telephone and proceeds to order groceries charged to Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III. The name lands in the Clampett parlor with the full weight of its aristocratic syllables, and the misunderstanding is complete. The script's handling of the name itself is a quiet masterstroke. Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III is precisely the sort of grandiose designation that Beverly Hills specializes in, a verbal monument to inherited wealth and social position. Aggie's casual instruction to call her by a simple nickname stands in immediate comic contrast. The Clampetts, who have never placed much stock in formal titles, accept the invitation at face value. They have met a woman who says please and thank you, who works hard and who does not put on airs. That she is ordering supplies for a household of enormous wealth does not, in their calculation, change the essential character of the person standing in their kitchen. The audience, holding both the true identity and the mistaken assumption, is positioned to appreciate every subsequent courtesy the family extends. Granny's response to the newcomer is particularly revealing. She has already declared her unwillingness to waste further time on snooty rich people. Yet when Aggie proves polite, hard-working, and unpretentious, Granny's defenses begin to lower. She offers food. She inquires about the work of cleaning a large house. She notes with approval that a little honest labor never hurt anybody. The shift is not hypocritical. It is consistent with Granny's deeper values. She objects to pretension, not to wealth itself. When the wealth arrives without the pretension, she is prepared to extend the same rough kindness she would have offered a neighbor in the hills. Irene Ryan's performance would have made the adjustment visible in every change of tone and posture, allowing the audience to track the character's rapid recalculation without ever losing the essential continuity of her personality. Jed's hospitality is quieter and more steady. He supplies the telephone. He accepts the name Aggie without question. He listens to the grocery order with the same calm attention he brings to every practical matter. When the conversation turns to the hard work of maintaining a large establishment, he recognizes a kindred spirit. The woman cleans from morning till night. Jed himself has never been afraid of labor. The bond that begins to form is rooted in shared respect for effort rather than in any calculation of social advantage. Buddy Ebsen's ability to convey that respect without speechifying was one of the great strengths of his performance. Jed simply treats Aggie as a person worthy of courtesy, and the courtesy itself becomes a quiet rebuke to the more transactional relationships that surround the family in Beverly Hills. The limousine and the chauffeur supply an additional layer of class comedy. Reginald's refusal to deliver a servant to a servant's entrance, his insistence on protocol, and his eventual retreat in the face of Aggie's sharp threats create a miniature portrait of hierarchical absurdity. The Clampetts, watching from their own doorway, see only a large car and a woman who prefers the back entrance. They do not interpret the preference as a mark of inferior status. They interpret it as a practical choice. The gap between the two interpretations is the source of the sustained misunderstanding that will follow. Mr. Drysdale's entrance into the situation transforms the mistaken identity from a private family matter into a full-scale financial fantasy. When Jethro mentions the new neighbor's name, the banker's reaction is immediate and electric. Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III. The name rings a bell. A rapid consultation of financial records produces the decisive information: widow, financial rating AAA, between 23 and 24. The figures refer to millions. not to years of age. Drysdale's subsequent declaration that the woman is in the prime of her life regardless of actual age reveals the complete instrumentalism of his interest. Raymond Bailey's performance would have balanced genuine excitement with the calculating gleam that always marked the character when large sums of money came into view. The possibility of uniting the Clampett fortune with the Carrington fortune produces in him a romantic fervor that has nothing to do with personal affection and everything to do with the arithmetic of capital. The thematic contrast between the Clampetts' response and Drysdale's response stands at the center of these sequences. The family meets Aggie as a person. The banker meets the name as an opportunity. The series does not need to declare a moral preference. It simply places the two approaches side by side and allows the audience to recognize the difference. The Clampetts' hospitality is rooted in the older rural values of neighborliness and respect for honest work. Drysdale's excitement is rooted in the newer urban values of financial consolidation and social leverage. Both responses are consistent with the characters who produce them. The comedy arises from the fact that both are directed at the same woman and that the woman herself is not the person either party believes her to be. The physical details of the arrival, the limousine turning into the back drive, the sharp exchange between Aggie and Reginald, the knock at the door, the request for the telephone, the grocery order charged to the grand name create a complete sensory and social world. The audience can see the Clampetts' open doorway and the newcomer's practical exhaustion. The audience can hear the difference between Aggie's blunt speech and the formal syllables of the Carrington name. The audience can track the rapid construction of the mistaken identity as each new piece of information is fitted into the wrong frame. Every element is developed with care. Every assumption is allowed to harden without immediate correction. Granny's later offer of goat meat clam chowder to the hard-working newcomer extends the hospitality into the realm of mountain practicality. The dish is not elegant. It is simply what the household has. Aggie's polite refusal on the grounds that she will wait for the chauffeur to return with the ordered groceries maintains the balance of courtesy between the two women. The moment is small, yet it reinforces the essential dynamic. The Clampetts give what they have. Aggie accepts or declines according to her own practical needs. Neither party is performing for the other. The absence of performance is itself a form of respect. Jethro's reaction to the new neighbor is consistent with his established character. He had hoped the household might contain a pretty maid. When he sees no one who fits that description, he is briefly glum. The possibility that the woman herself might be an object of romantic interest does not yet occur to him. His attention remains fixed on the more familiar patterns of his own recent disappointments. The continuity of his large-hearted, slightly single-minded nature provides a useful counterpoint to the more calculating excitement that the same arrival produces in Mr. Drysdale. In the final analysis, the sequences surrounding the arrival of the new neighbors and the immediate case of mistaken identity stand as a richly detailed opening to the final movement of the composite narrative. Through careful attention to the limousine, the backdoor approach, the telephone request, the grand name, and the contrasting responses of the Clampetts and Mr. Drysdale, the script establishes a fresh set of comic complications while remaining entirely consistent with the characters and values already in place. Irene Ryan's Granny begins the adjustment from suspicion to qualified acceptance. Buddy Ebsen's Jed extends the steady hospitality that has always defined him. Raymond Bailey's Drysdale ignites with financial possibility. The woman at the center of the misunderstanding, Aggie, remains herself sharp-tired and uninterested in the roles others are already assigning her. The result is comedy that entertains while also affirming the enduring difference between meeting a person and meeting an opportunity. The Beverly Hillbillies never needed to lecture its audience about that difference. It simply allowed both forms of meeting to occur in the same kitchen and in the space between the nickname Aggie and the full sonorous glory of Mrs. Philip Brentwood Carrington III. The difference begins to reveal its full and affectionate force.